Hi.
Welcome back to Splice Splatter, the official film podcast of Highgarden Entertainment in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where classic horror.
It's modern gore.
We're your hosts. I'm Siena.
I'm Al, and I've been dying to talk to you.
Yes, this is, I think, maybe been the hardest we've had to fight to keep from talking to each other about films in, like, months.
Yeah, this felt hard. So, it's Warren's birthday episode.
Damn it, I didn't think of a pun for this one. Warren, do you have a pun for your birthday?
He's like, no, it's my birthday.
Yeah.
You give
He's
me
like,
the gift.
I'm the pun king. I just sit and receive the puns.
The right war in.
That's what it was.
That's
Let the right war in.
yeah.
Let the right war in. It's the Let the right war in
episode. Yeah.
We're not actually covering Let the right one in, but we
Yeah, sorry.
we will
We've
at
joked
some
for that
point,
for 2 years.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Keep teasing it.
Still not doing it.
What are we doing, Al?
Yeah, we're doing, I've covered Take Shelter from 2011, which is very my era.
Yes, and I'm covering Jacob's Ladder from 1990, which
I didn't realize.
This has been one of my top 5 like giant blind spots in Siena's filmography.
Yeah.
For at least 5 years now, and so yeah, so much to talk about. But
I know. I'm like, how much we talk before we get Warren in here? I have you? So we both hadn't seen Jacob's Ladder.
Had not seen Jacob's Ladder. Had seen Take Shelter.
Same.
Okay.
Like once?
Interesting. Yeah, just once. Yeah.
Same. Yeah, like years.
Oh, interesting.
I think when it almost like first came out, I want to say it was a Netflix. I think I said this last episode. I think it was a Netflix, like physical media when they would mail them to you.
Back in the good old days.
Yeah.
Back before we hated them.
Truly. Or like, I think 2011 was when I went to, we still had some Blockbusters around. And it even might have been a Blockbuster.
That makes sense. Well, because
wild.
I know I watched it in maybe 22, like about 3 years ago, so pretty recently.
Nice.
But it was a Lisa from Video Library pick for me. She, like I've said before, I'll get like 8 DVDs at a time, and I pick 4 and she picks 4, and so that was one of the Lisa picks for me. So for I think quite obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Which is great because Warren is wearing a Video Library shirt today.
I know. He was also wearing if he wears the hat out here, the hat was pretty good too.
I don't think I saw that.
Not gonna match.
No.
Damn it. He says it's not going to match, everybody. If I was going to say fit check. Siena's wearing actually a really good fit.
Gotten my best Jacob's Ladder Jacob-esque. It's an actual former army jumpsuit.
It's vintage, yeah.
I've stolen it from my girlfriend. As she said, she used to wear it all the time before she got tits, and now it doesn't fit anymore. So now it fits me perfectly.
Listen, the dual wardrobe you get
It's true.
now.
It's great. I get all the hand-me-downs. Yeah.
I tried to do like a little button down like he wears in Take Shelter, but I got my vintage. Oh, I'm doing vintage too.
Oh, look at that.
It's not a band like I thought, but it's new method, Suffering in Your Own Hell.
Oh, that's so perfect for
So I felt
Take
like
Shelter.
And
both
Jacob's
of these
Ladder.
films. Yeah, Suffering in Your Own Hell.
Truly.
Could be the tagline for both of these.
Oh my God.
Which also,
actually,
what a good double feature.
Yeah, Warren
too.
really,
well chosen. I know you planned
shit.
this one for a while.
Yeah.
You had this set on lock for months, I think.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, do we get Warren in here
think
now?
we get
So
Warren
then
in
because
here.
I was like, I have so many things to say, and
Yeah.
honestly, I'm going first.
Yes. Al has very few notes.
I have so few notes, and Warren, I'll tell you why. For multiple reasons, but I'm like also chomping at the goddamn bit to talk about Jacob's Ladder.
I'm chomping at the bit to talk about both of them, especially because I had to restrain myself from looking up Take Shelter facts last night.
There's not a lot.
Fantastic.
Not a lot.
You
would have probably found every single one that I found.
Great. So I'm glad I Googled nothing.
Yeah.
But Warren especially, I'm so curious because it's such a sound-centric film. And I'm, like, I have so many thoughts about the sound design of Take Shelter. And I know this was something you talked about with your watch experience, too. That,
Yes.
Yeah.
But also I didn't bring any facts like that in.
That's fine.
Yeah. We'll get Warren in here. I'll tell you kind of some things as we go.
Wonderful. Because I was, I'm like very much... Yeah, I'll stop there. Let's get Warren in.
Come on down. Bring the beverage, Take the hot seat. Speaking of Video Library, before it's super hot. Mine's gonna be warm.
It's pretty warm. Ooh. Oh my God.
Welcome to
Look what
The Mic's
happened.
Falling.
There we go.
Warren's experiencing how sensitive and perfectly positioned our mics are before they just go immediately down.
Yeah.
If we can recall the episode where mine just was in my lap a year ago.
Aw.
Hi.
Hey.
Happy birthday episode.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Take Shelter. I feel like nobody talks about this film ever, but it had such like an impact on me when I first watched it, and I'd only seen it once. So I'm so curious of why.
I think it's hugely impactful, but you're right. No one really talks about it.
Which is such a bummer.
It is a bummer.
So when did you see it?
I saw it in the theater.
Oh.
And it was truly, and you know, I think since it's come out, I've said it was my favorite horror movie.
I love that.
Which I think it's debatable whether or not it's a horror movie. Some people don't think it is.
I was gonna say that's the like I definitely Jacob's Ladder is way more like I actually had to Google is Jacob's Ladder a horror movie because I watched the first like few minutes and I was like I know nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean these are both psychological thrillers,
Yeah.
so there is a big umbrella that is horror.
And to me, that
absolutely falls
genre
under
is
it.
actually like more terrifying.
Yeah, it's a different type of
scarier
horror.
than like horror
Yeah.
to me. But yeah, and I saw it at the Harvard Exit in Seattle, which was a very special place to me, a little movie theater in my neighborhood that was supposedly haunted. And just really, really amazing place that is now, I think, like a offices or something. Really sad. Anyway, the experience of seeing it there, I think, really added to the like grimness and just like the overall tone of the movie. But this film in particular just hits on like every single thing that I have anxiety about.
Oh, well,
so
as we'll talk about, anxiety was the source of this entire film.
Ooh,
so,
I can't wait to learn more about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I before my family moved to Texas when I was like, or moved to New Mexico when I was like 4, my parents met each other in Austin, and my dad is so much like this character.
Really?
Yeah. And, you know, I think when I first watched it, that's really what I was latching onto was just the stoicness of Michael Shannon, Curtis in this film, and his, you know, this stilted kind of like I need to, you know, be this ideal of this Midwestern father. And Jeff Nichols is an Austin-based filmmaker, and I think they originally. I'm not entirely sure. I have a little bit of. I have a friend who worked on this movie, and so I have a little bit of background knowledge about this. But
if you have anything to share, please do. Because, like I said, I have 5 pages of notes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of articles around it, but Jessica Chastain and Michael Shannon had both. I feel like 2011 was like their year where they came out with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the articles, it's like touches on Take Shelter, but it also talks about these other things too. So I had a really hard time finding other than just regurgitated information. So if you have any behind the scenes, what did your friend do on it? Do you know?
She was a producer.
Oh, sick.
But yeah, I didn't want to squeeze her for too much information.
Sure,
but there, but yeah, I do think that they tried to film this like in the outskirts of the Austin area, and that like I think it's Kansas that they actually filmed this. Where did they film this?
Ohio.
Ohio.
Which we will
Okay.
talk about.
It wasn't the first choice.
It feels like it could be Kansas. It feels like anywhere USA.
Sure.
For a reason.
Yeah.
I think.
And I think really it's about like the vibe of this family. The second time I watched this, which was actually this might have been my third time.
Wow.
But this time I am now a dad. And
I was going to ask you about
like
your feelings now.
an added layer of anxiety around it, in that I am now seeing more of myself in this character.
Yeah. You're like, now I am my dad in this.
But like on a
so
baseline, just like prosaic level, I think the most terrifying thing is going out of your mind. I think, losing your grip on reality, and especially like that process, and seeing that unfold, which is why I wanted to put these two movies together.
Yeah.
This kind of
perfectly paired.
Internal like battle between, what you feel. And I think that's, like one of my favorite lines is he's like, it's a feeling in this movie.
Put a pin in that as we talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so much. Yeah, big pin on feeling.
And the first time I watched this, I had this reaction, which is like, oh, this makes me super uncomfortable, because by the end of this film, I am rooting for him to be right, in that his delusions are actually valid and coming true.
Yeah.
But what does that mean? Oh, that means that like it's the end of the world. And so you're rooting for that over the alternative, which is that he's going crazy.
Right. It's not a win either way. Again, kind of with both these films, it's like you're left with like, I think that's been a big conversation, is like looking into these films. I think definitely yours, Siena, but also this film. It's like the ending, there's no win.
Yeah, like what did you feel like when he went up to when Jessica Chastain in this incredible scene where they're in the shelter, and the music is building and building and building to them opening this door. Like what did you want to be on the other side?
I know that's the thing. It's you. Well, for me, I did want it to be clear skies for him. Because again, that's the hopefulness of like, but then to a point, it's not happy that way either. I think it was more for me, him overcoming and trusting the partner as again, we'll talk about it a little bit with like theme and stuff, but it's really about this family being there for each other and going through whatever, whether it's the storm, whether it's mental illness, like whatever it is. So like for me, it was that bond between the two of them. This is what
staying with us means.
Yes. Yeah. So that it was like whatever it was, it's just for him to trust her is what I want. That was what I wanted. Whether anything was on the other side, it was their ability to connect was that has been my thing with it. But it's such a complex, again, it's like, it's so hard to talk about these films. I feel like that's why I don't have a lot of notes, but do you have like was there something for you? Because I'm so curious, again, like you came from like a son point of view, and then now you're a father.
And now as a father, I think I am rooting for the sunniness on the other side of that door. Like this time this time watching it, I still think it's hugely, like it's much more impactful on like this emotional level for me. I forgot to mention something. I have had
oh no
tornado dreams tornado nightmares since I can remember.
Really?
And so it
on
really
that level, it's on a whole other way too.
And they're the only dreams where it's like I remember my other dreams in the dream.
Ooh.
And so like, I'm like, oh, this is another one of your tornado dreams. But each one plays out the same way, where it's like by the end of the dream, it's like, nope, this is actually real this time.
Whoa.
But it is not. Yeah.
Damn,
and so that also really got to me, and
makes like the perfect storm of a
perfect
film for
storm. Yeah. Anyway, but this time watching it, I think more I want him to like I want that. I don't want that storm that comes at the very last shot of the film to show up. At least
you can know they can weather it together though as a family. Like the storm. What are you going to do? You all die.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
I genuinely do not know the answer to this.
I don't know if I will either. So let's go.
When is this film set?
I didn't find that. I don't know. But
because there's no cell phones.
I know. There's one cell phone?
There was one cell phone?
He talks about, they talk
about
you left home and you didn't even bring your phone.
Right. But it does feel very like
timeless.
Yeah. You never see the phone.
Like
Yeah,
they
and even
don't
like
have
their
the phones in the
house.
shelter. They don't. Yeah, there's so many problems that I feel like could have been solved in this movie with cell phones.
Yeah, I didn't look up. I wonder if anyone knows, let me know. I didn't look that up, but it does feel like it feels like Anywhere USA and Anytime USA. So in that fact, it feels like it could be now. And I do have some retrospective kind of little sound bites from specifically Michael Shannon. So I feel like I think the idea of this film, it's shocking how it resonates. It resonated then, and it really hit hard in 2020, and it really hits hard now to watch because the anxiety. So I'll save it because I have a good, I have a little information about the press kit that had a very specific line in there. And again, it's like the through line for this film. So
2 more things, real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the beginning of. I think this is the first, starring role for Michael Shannon. I think also the first really big role for Jessica Chastain. I think it broke them both through.
Yeah, these were big years for them.
I think the score in particular set a huge trend in scores to follow.
I didn't bring any music facts, guys.
Yeah, and I don't know who the composer is, but it was really good.
I have the name. Yeah.
But then this is also the first movie with Michael Shannon and Shea Whigham, which
yes, you were gonna you have to share this fact.
I think is the beginning of like this probably off-screen bromance that's happening because they keep showing up in movies and TV shows together. They're in Boardwalk Empire. They're in that show Waco.
Oh my God, I forgot about that show.
Yeah, and there's I think at least a couple other movies, but yeah.
This was like the start of it all. Yeah, you told this off air like before we got on. I had no idea who that man was, so I have no information on him, but I think that's so funny and so cute.
Shea Whigham's so good. He's so good in this as Stuart.
Yeah. And then Jessica Chastain and Michael Shannon went on to do a film again this year together in 2011. So I thought it was cute that they kind of worked together again.
All right.
I'm excited to share stuff now.
Boy.
Actually, because I'm like, yay, I want to talk. So get the hell out of here.
Give me that hot seat.
I will, again, I don't have it in my notes, so I'm just going to share really quickly.
Yeah.
The supervising sound designer was Lyman Hardy. I have no information, obviously, here, but there's that name for you. And sound effects editor, Michael Levine.
Interesting.
Yeah, so those are 2 names that I'll shout out for that. But I didn't bring in a lot, but
I have so many just like thoughts on the sound and music. So like
we can,
they're
like,
not facts,
we can
but like
vibe
I'm
about
so
it.
down to gab about it.
Yeah. I post on my stories, but I told Siena too. It has been like thunderstorming, like true thunderstorms here, and I got to watch it while it was thunderstorming, and it was the best experience.
The night you were watching it, I lost power.
Yeah, you
for
lost
7
power.
hours. So it felt very. And then I watched the film the night after.
Siena just acted it out by candlelight and puppetry.
By which you mean fell immediately asleep as
sleep.
soon as the lights went off. Slept for 12 hours. It was
been
great.
so cozy. So highly recommend if you know that there is a thunderstorm coming your way, watch Take Shelter, because some of the thunderclaps that I heard, I couldn't tell if it was in scene or outside.
I love that
and
so much.
It was perfect. But Take Shelter, what was it like? You watched it in 2022, so you like are recent.
It was very recent, and so
it's so good.
It definitely was a very different experience watching it, knowing what happens. Because the first time I watched it, I went in extremely blank since it was a Lisa pick. So like all I knew was that Lisa told me it was kind of a horror movie, but not.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
And so I went in the first time and kept waiting for him to snap and kill his family.
Oh,
that was
because you're like horror, like
I'm
horror, but not. So when is the moment?
And especially that scene that you were mentioning, Warren, down in the storm shelter when you're waiting for the doors to open. I think that is one of the best modern uses of the combination of lighting and blocking because of the way that as he goes up the stairs, Jessica Chastain's face falls into complete blackness, so she becomes this like faceless demonic cloud where you see her red hair behind her, but she has no face, very much like the characters in Jacob's Ladder. And like I was so convinced that he was about to run down the stairs and like strangle her.
Funny.
And so even though I knew that wasn't going to happen this time, there was still a part of me that was like, and now he's gonna strangle her.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, this feels right. That's so funny.
So I had like a very, I don't know, both of these films, I think I struggled to be objective about because they're very much the kind of films I'm interested in making in terms of I love a narrative that's about, is this person insane? Is this person sane? What's real? What's not? What's a dream? What's not? What's death? What's life? Like that's my jam. And so it's really hard for me to watch films about that and not be constantly thinking, oh, I would have done this way. And that's not a fair way to watch a film. But
yeah, you gotta shut that.
I know.
I learned, it took me a few years after film school to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
And it was hard.
And usually I'm pretty good at doing it, but with these kinds of films in particular, it's especially
because you're so
hard.
passionate about
Yeah, and so like that's a sign that the film is working, but it also means that I have like extremely conflicted feelings about both of these films in ways that like I'm excited to dig into, and I mean as a compliment to the filmmakers.
Well, because it's making you
think, which is very much the goal of both of these films. Like as you were saying, like it's about a feeling. Yeah. And that's that to me is the core of my favorite kinds of movies is movies that are not about plot, they're about feeling. And that I think is so true of both of these movies.
Yeah,
but because of that, I'm like, there's so much that I'm wrestling with still. So I'm especially excited to talk about them. This one reminded me a lot, this watch, of Barbarian. Which
how so?
As I was watching it, I was thinking, I feel like Zach Kreger is a really big fan of this movie, specifically the way the staircase is shot.
Sure.
Like the framing of a whole lot of shots, and the way that like the dread of this underspace plays.
I was gonna say actually, because like there's that shot in Barbarian where it's down the hallway.
Yes. Yeah.
And even the shot when I forget when it is in the film, but it starts to move through the house. Even though those are very different shots.
Yeah.
They feel very tonally.
Yeah. So like I think I have very similar feelings to this film to what I did about Barbarian, where I'm like, it's so well done, and I'm wrestling like hell with it. So like, let's wrestle. Funny. I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Hold on, let me open. Okay, so like I said,
crack open the book.
I feel like a lot of the conversation, the reason why I had like a hard time getting like concrete notes is I think everyone knows I love like casting stories. I love, like I like kind of
how the story came to be.
Yeah, so I do have a lot of how the story came to be. So that is the main focus.
I'm really excited for that because I also think that'll help me wrestle with it better.
I feel like that's the thing too. I had a hard time with Jacob's Ladder. I did the same thing where I was like, here's my interpretation of the ending. So we will talk about the ending and the interpretation, but I'm for people who haven't looked up this film, I'm curious if the concrete direction of the director, who is also the writer, Jeff Nichols, if you saw the same thing and felt the same thing.
That's what I'm really curious to hear is what I felt what he was intending.
Yeah. So we will, I feel like all four of us could probably have
I'm so excited.
Initial intent, and then this could be contrasting
totally
to
different,
that.
yeah.
So diving in, there's one tagline, which is far away from the cruel world.
I saw that.
Which is I think it was not on a lot of, I don't know if it's was it on the DVD I gave you?
I can't remember if it's
I
on
think
the
it's
DVD.
on like
it's
the
on
European
Letterboxd, which is where I saw it. But
so like I said, writer-director Jeff Nichols. He also wrote and directed Mud, starring Matthew McConaughey, which I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense, as well as Midnight Special, starring Adam Driver, which is one of the few Adam Driver films I've not seen. But I love he seems like a very like actor's director in that way, because those three are gotta be so fun to play with.
Yeah, and very character driven.
Yeah. And I think Mud was one of the first like Matthew McConaughey's that took him out of the rom-com.
Yeah.
Which one?
McConaissance.
The McConaissance, yes!
I love Matthew McConaughey. Hopefully his worldviews align with mine. I don't know. He's from the South. Who knows? So again, jumping right into starring Michael Shannon as Curtis. This was my introduction to him. I know there were things. He had a lot of things prior. And so many things since, but this was
the breakout.
Yeah, and I didn't know anything about it either when I first started watching it. I remember I wish I could still live like this, but there's so much media now that I would just see. I loved looking at trailers that most people found boring or films that people said were boring. And I'm like, they're not boring.
Yeah, you're watching it wrong.
Yeah, I love slow movies.
And it's a wonderful slow burn in terms of the pacing.
So, but this was my intro to him, and I've loved him since. So he's also in so many things, like I said, Revolutionary Road, The Shape of Water, which I didn't realize, Knives Out, Bullet Train, Boardwalk Empire, like we had mentioned. And then one of my favorite holiday films, which is no one's seen it, is called The Night Before. It has Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Anthony Mackie, Seth Rogen, Lizzie Kaplan, Alana Glazer from Broad City, and Miley fucking Cyrus in it.
What a cast.
It is so funny. It's under... no one talks about it, and it's amazing. So this holiday season, everyone needs to watch it and get back to me.
Put that over the trailer.
Truly,
this
so
holiday
good.
season.
This holiday season, it's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Anthony Mackie, and the character he plays in this. He talks about it in some interviews too. He plays characters that very much have similar. I don't know. He talks a lot. He's very much drawn towards certain characters. Even I would dare I say in The Night Before. So. Moving on, there was an interesting interview, like I said, from 2020, where someone was talking to him. At Playlist.net was where I found this. So he kind of reflected on the film and said how Take Shelter to him is one of his most significant films that he's made, which I love when we bring in these films and it happens to be their favorites. So he talks about it saying, quote, "There's a lot of other ones I'm equally proud of, but Take Shelter, yeah, I felt that anxiety ever since I was a kid. I mean, I don't remember the world not being anxious, really," which the 90s didn't feel anxious for a second. There seems to always be something to be anxious about, true. But there's definitely really in your face right now for sure. So again, like I said, as we talk about the script, put a pin in that because, anxiety is this seed that grew this film. So I'm working with Michael. Jessica talked about it, saying, quote, "It was amazing. He's such a brilliant actor. After the very first take of that scene, one of the scenes, I don't know which she's referring to, all the people applauded, all the extras, and I was like, no, you're supposed to be scared of him. Don't clap. He's just one of..."
I wonder if this was the Lions Club stuff.
Lions Club? It had to have been.
That makes sense. Because as far as like scenes with lots of extras, that's most
true.
of this most
Self-contained.
of this is so contained.
Yeah. God, that scene.
It's he's
also
really terrifying. Yeah.
She's like, he's just one of those actors. It's undeniable. His talent. He's so much intensity and power physically because he's such a big guy, which, wow, he dwarfs her in this, but he still feels so...
How tall is he? Do we know?
He's got to be like 6'4". That man is tall.
Oh, interesting.
He's almost hitting, I feel like he's almost hitting the frames. But I think also with he's so large in this, but I also think he's so...
6'3".
He's 6'3".
Okay,
That's
yeah.
one off.
Wow.
With shoes, 6'4".
Yeah, there you go.
With heels, 6'4".
With the right boots.
He has this like such a power to him, but I know he feels scary, but I almost feel like he doesn't feel scary to me.
He's got very
As someone who has scary
wounded
father,
animal energy to me.
He's always kind of tucked into himself. Maybe that's just being tall and you're hunched over a lot. I don't know, but he doesn't really. I feel like I've seen his power. He felt like, I don't know, it was such a different role for him because even his voice felt softer than it has. It felt pitched higher.
Yeah, it does.
To me.
It so much of this movie feels to me like it's about this fear of not being enough. And so
absolutely.
It makes sense that he's kind of shrunk himself in every way.
Yeah. I'm going to end on a quote. It's really long, but to that point, she says, "To be in a scene with somebody who can muster such great strength and such vulnerability." And I think that's what it was, is he was so raw in this film.
Very much.
Michael Shannon also said for this role, he purposely didn't read up on mental illnesses before because he said the character didn't know much about it. So he was kind of learning it with the character as he went along.
It's an interesting approach.
Yeah. And he talked, again, this is kind of getting into script, so just keep the pin. He talked about saying how the movie really isn't about mental illness to him. It never was to him, even though Curtis's mom, obviously in the film, has paranoid schizophrenia at a similar age. He talks about the same quote, "The whole thing with the mother, I hate to use the concept of someone's mental illness as this red herring because it's a very serious thing. But the fundamental question that Take Shelter poses is, how can anybody in their right mind stay sane in a world like this? Particularly if you're responsible for other people and you know that at the end of the day, you cannot protect them from what is coming. So I think that's the anxiety I'm sure Warren, like I'm not a parent, but just even in 2025, it's like I have a lot of friends who are going to be parents or want to be parents. And it's just like to bring this thing that you don't know into the world that you don't know if you could protect at the end of the day is such a, I can't imagine what that feels like, but I love that how it feels this was 2011 and it's like, already, boy, in 2025, it's
only gotten worse.
It's only gotten worse.
It reminds me, I'm going to paraphrase this really badly, but it reminds me of that quote that like, it's no measure of sanity to be well adjusted to an insane society. Something like that. That feels like very apt to both of these films.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like we're starting off, I'm glad we're in this order. I feel like we're starting off soft for this to lead into such a bigger conversation.
No, agreed. I think it's very wise that we do Take Shelter first to like warm us up for Jacob Splatter. You need it.
We do alternate every week, but I do feel like
it was the right order.
This was the right order this time. We kind of just fumble it out.
Especially because I feel like I'm sure Jeff Nichols was a fan of Jacob Splatter, I would imagine.
I
would expect
assume.
So. Yeah.
I would assume.
That feels like a safe assumption.
Now I'm like, if anyone's seen Jacob Splatter and isn't a fan, you're wrong.
Well, yeah. Also that.
Moving on to Jessica Chastain's Sam or Samantha. In 2011 alone, she was in 7 films.
Jesus Christ, Jessica.
Yeah. So she was kind of, a lot of the articles I found, like I said, it was hard to find information because she was in The Help and The Tree of Life in 2011 as well.
Yeah.
So those were a lot of bigger conversations she was having.
Was Zero Dark 30 the year after this?
I think so. I don't think that was in, because I feel like I would have put that one because it was bigger.
Big, yeah.
But yeah, so she kind of blew up. I think this was one of her first roles I saw her in too.
Yeah.
God,
I love her in everything she does.
Truly. I don't think, she's never had neither of these people have had a bad role.
Yeah. Even in movies that I haven't liked. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of The Help, but she's wonderful.
I've never seen that, to be fair.
Fine.
Or Tree of Life.
I haven't
seen her in a lot.
Tree of Life either, but
and it was big. Her and Michael also starred, like I said, Touch of Evil was the film that they went in 2011. They also starred in together. So I love that. But with all these films, for playing the role of Sam, and I tried to check a few different sources, this seems correct. It says she was only paid $100 per day.
That's not
anything. And the budget wasn't.
I don't think that can possibly be right because just like SAG restrictions alone.
I wonder. I tried to look multiple sources. So if anyone, I found it a few different places. I believe you.
I have thoughts about that, but I'll put it in that for now. Yeah.
Google. You can Google. I'll let you sleuth that. You're better at finding information like that. So throwing it out there, like I said, I tried to check. That's why.
It's the sort of thing that I could see. If I had to guess, it feels like the sort of thing where she was probably paid scale minimum. And I would guess that was probably around $200 a day. Because in 2025, scale minimum on the smallest scale SAG production you can do, like my film, smallest scale you could do, have to pay actors at least $241 a day. Which is why I'm like,
I wonder maybe then if in 2011 maybe it would
have been lower, but I don't think it would have been $100 a day.
Interesting. Maybe it was like roughly translated of like roughly 100.
Yeah. Because so I think it's probably the sort of thing where it's like we paid her the bare minimum we possibly could, but she
wasn't paid a lot. Yeah, I feel like
regardless, I'm sure that is
she was probably one of the.
I'm sure that is true.
That's interesting about the minimums. I wasn't aware of that.
Is and particularly because like somebody like Michael Shannon would have already been a member of SAG. I'm not sure if she was, but clearly this is a project that was a SAG-AFTRA project, and so even if she wasn't a member, you still have to pay non-SAG members by SAG scale for it to be a SAG project. So like they would have had to. But
interesting.
Anyway,
I love that. No, that gives context to that. So if anyone could find the actual number or confirm that, I would be curious to know.
Yeah. So that's why I had the reaction I did. I'm just like, I don't think that's possible, but I'm sure it was the least it could possibly be.
At the lowest. Well, sad either way, especially considering
how amazing she is.
And when she was asked, kind of talking about her relation to the character, She said that she kind of felt like a Sam before. She understood her journey. She said she had had the script for a while, but was mostly concerned about the relationship between Mike and herself, or Curtis and Samantha, meaning the whole film kind of hinges on this relationship, which is kind of the question Warren asked of like, what did you want on the other side? And I'm like, I didn't care as long as they could go through it together. And so that was something she really attached herself to. And she says, what does a man have at stake? What does he stand to lose? It's not that they're not strong. If they're not strong, the film doesn't work. Jeff even told us that there's this look between Sam and Curtis at the end of the film, at the very end, and if that look doesn't work, the whole film falls apart.
That's so interesting, because I feel like I know which look she's talking about. That, yeah, when they share a look and it's like the moment where she realizes he was right.
Yeah. Yeah, the one you're talking about is when we see it in the reflection.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh my God, I love that so much.
It's a incredibly framed shot, too, where you have her in the center, framed by two panes of glass reflecting the storm.
Yeah. I almost wish it just went like black right there too.
I do too.
I really love an ambiguous ending.
That was my biggest problem with it. I felt like it felt like it came down to on the side of he was right. And that made it to me feel like it was just...
We'll talk about that, because I don't know if that was...
the intention. That's
so
what
you
I
might
was
like.
curious.
You might like the director.
I'm super curious, because it feels to me like the sort of thing that could have been. I don't think this was a studio film, but like it feels like this sort of thing that could have been an executive producer's. Like, we need a little more of a button on the ending.
I bet they. I think when you see that just tiny bit after, like where me and you both have the same.
Yeah, because I was like,
I think it's for mass audiences. I know. I love just it's almost like Inception too. Watching that ending for the first time, I love that the audience in theaters groaned.
You don't know.
Hated it, and I was like, yes,
yeah,
this is great.
Exactly.
I don't want to know. I want to walk and leave the theater, and I want to think about this movie for like the rest of my life, and be like, and I don't
want to know.
Yeah. So I think as we move through, I think you're really going to relate to
I'm excited.
Jeff on this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it becomes to me too much of just a Noah's Ark story. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want it to be Noah's Ark. I want to not know.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
yes,
amazing. Love.
One last little character, Tova Stewart was the little girl who plays Hannah.
She's wonderful.
Yeah. This is the only thing she ever did. Which I think is wild, because she's just moving through like a real child.
Yeah.
So she was deaf and real. Well, you know how like some kids, like some kids.
Yeah, no, it's true. Some kids don't know how to be human.
Especially
camera.
She was not an actor.
Wow.
And she did literally. This is the only thing on there.
Do we know if she's actually deaf?
She is in real life, and so are her parents. And on the DVD commentary, which I did not get to listen to all of, I just heard sound bites. Michael Shannon and the director Jeff Nichols kind of talk about it and give her character some lore, and talk about how the daughter was not supposed to have been born deaf, but had become deaf a few years prior to the events due to meningitis.
That was what I assumed. Because there's those couple lines about like I still whisper and stuff. So like she used to be a hearing child,
which again puts the character of Curtis in this like I've kind of lost and I'm having to rebuild in this way, and then to do that on a bigger scale. So I kind of just love that little bit about that. So script and conception. Here we go. Yes. This is the most meat I have about the film. So script and conception. Where did the director Jeff get this idea? Like I said, he's also the writer. So Jeff said he kept having this feeling that even though his world was full of happiness at the time, so this was 2008, I believe he started to write this, that
right
he
at the start of the recession too.
Yep. So that gives a lot of context to that.
Because there's so much like economy talk in this film.
Oh, absolutely. So that I think gives
makes a lot
most of the context for this. So he had this, so even though his world was kind of happy, he had this overwhelming sense that the world outside of his world, that there was something bad coming for it. So
I think he was right.
Yes. Oh boy, if he would have known. Make a film now, Jeff. He also says when he writes scripts for his films that he likes to write from some kind of universal feeling or emotion. So that's where when you said anxiety, Warren, that was the emotion he picked. So he said when it came to sitting down and writing the script, that the feeling of anxiety in itself didn't work in terms of being a solid thematic thing. So he goes on to talk about when he was writing it, he was in his first year of marriage. So that adds a lot of family complexity to it. And he said, quote, I was in my first year of marriage and separately, I think I left out words in this quote and I wasn't able to edit it. I was in my first year of marriage and separately had been asking myself what it means to be married, to start a family. And I realized marriage and family was what was actually going to be the cause of the anxiety of this film, because it's an effect, not a cause, and I needed the cause. So the loss of stability was the effect. The loss of family and the relationship kind of all seemed to be the highest stakes for this character. So he kind of inserted himself of like, here's anxiety. What am I having anxiety about? And it's living in this world where I'm newly married. I don't know if he has kids, but maybe that was a conversation. And what would those stakes look like? And then the press kit he sent out to media, which people like to note, it had a little phrase in there that said, I had a nagging feeling that the world at large was headed for harder times. So again, that was just, and boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, in the last 6 months here, it's been like that. So how did he choose natural disaster to represent Curtis's fears in the film? He said, obviously, since it's a visual medium, he needed some sort of visual metaphor for what Curtis was feeling. So he was kind of started to roll around ideas in his mind, and he kept wandering to how beautiful storms can be. And he said, quote, I think nature is beautifully devastating at times. And the reason to choose nature as an antagonist is that it's impartial, and that's what's scariest. It's not a bad corporation sending waste into a river. You can't put your finger on anything that specific. To me, that's what causes the most fear, that there is no way to fix it or prevent it. It's not malicious, but it's still devastating. And so I love, again, as you can see, mental illness is definitely there in this. And like Michael Shannon said, it's kind of a red herring to a point.
It's not the central point of the film.
Which I was kind of shocked to learn, because it does feel so heavy. I mean, again, watching it a second time, I didn't feel it as much, but I kind of love it's not malicious, but it's still devastating.
Yeah. Well, and I think this very much goes to anybody who says this isn't a horror film. Look how much the director is thinking from a place of what is scariest.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. If you don't agree that psychological thrillers are horror films,
get out of here.
It's just like, we talked about it too. Like, I think some of the scariest things are the most real, tangible things.
Yeah, and I strongly agree with you, Warren, that like that kind of fear of going insane is one of the most potent kinds of horror.
I have a friend whose dad passed away with Alzheimer's like a few years before I met him, and I remember he would do things and I mean almost be like broken down. Because if he would forget something and he would check with his partner, is like, do we think this is it? Yeah. And it's just like watching that fear live so frontally in his life. And having to, constantly check, like, is this the reality that you're living to? Like, it's one of my biggest fears. Like, I'm like, I can grow old to be die, but like the not living in the same reality as everyone else.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. Yeah. So truly, just speaking of, take it back. Speaking of storms, he also talks about how he grew up in Arkansas. So the threat of severe weather kind of always existed, having to like run to the bathroom, or if you had a storm shelter or a basement to go to. He talks about that, saying, plus summer thunderstorms are one of my favorite things in the world. You sit outside, you feel all the changes in the temperature, all this anticipation, and that's in the film as well. There are moments when Curtis is in awe of these things, and it's a feeling I can relate to. So he really is, I feel like Director Jeff is like, this is like my experience moving through the world, which I love. He also talks about the parallels between preparing for disaster in the film and the mental breakdown we see Curtis have. He says, I certainly don't think that anyone who prepares for a natural disaster is mentally challenged. And I was like, oh, I think I took out a worse line from him. 2011, didn't have the words. That's not the intention at all. To be honest, the film grew from an image. I was standing in the backyard one day and I pictured someone at a doorway of a storm shelter shelter, and I wasn't sure if it was out or in. So I started to build a story from that, and I thought about a man very pragmatically preparing for something cataclysmic. And then he talks about how he loves in horror films kind of the moments where we see the main character kind of prepare for disaster. And he wanted to find his way of building that into the film as well, which I love that he kind of, that's why I'm sure I would love to know what sources he truly took from. I could not find them. Just a quick note on budget. Again, I don't have a ton of information on this. Do you want to take a stab at it?
My God.
Yeah, because I don't think it's like super studio. It's like a tiny project.
In my estimation of where the budget was at for this film swung wildly over the course of the movie. Like,
I was gonna say, do you want like a hint?
Yes, please. I feel like
they had a really good special effects team.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Well, because I was thinking the storms and the birds are obviously all computer generated. I think there's, they probably had a rain machine. That's very expensive. They weren't paying the actors a lot though. But also, as I was watching through the credits, I saw that the post sound, because again, I was this sound design, motherfuckers, was done by Skywalker Sound.
Oh,
so
I fucking missed that.
At least had Skywalker Sound type budget.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So it's definitely it's above
between
$1 million.
VFX and that. Keep that in mind.
I think it's above $1 million. I think it's below 10. I would say 4.5.
Shut the fuck up! It's 4.7. Ah! The fact that you did a 0.5 has me gagged. But no,
Yes.
Isn't that funny? I feel like we're getting so good.
We're getting really good at it. Yeah, the practice is helping.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, 4.75. So a lot went to clearly sound, and then the VFX, which I can't wait to tell you about.
Super excited because like water, fire, smoke, famously like the hardest things to do.
And
VFX.
those storm clouds
they're very good, especially for 2011.
So good.
Like you can tell that they're CG.
I mean, the birds are rough.
I also
not like the birds, though, at least.
I also hot take. I don't feel like we needed the birds. I feel like the storm was enough. I would have been fine with just the storm.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything talking about the birds, but I forget what the word it's called when they have those formations. Murmuration. Thank you. We don't get that here. I actually saw it on my road trip to Colorado.
Oh, sick.
And I was like, thank fuck I'm not driving because I'm just like glued. I find that because scientists still don't fully understand like why they do that.
And that's to me one of those things where I think for that to be effective, it would have to be a real shot of birds for me. I feel like that being CG, it just doesn't have the same emotional impact for me. The CG storm does.
Yeah.
The birds
didn't.
Yeah.
I feel that was the one. But
we'll make up
for it. We'll make up for it because I'm going to have you gagged with, I think, a shot. So it was primarily filmed in Lorain County, Ohio.
Interesting.
They shot over just 24 days, which I always love finding films that are close to yours.
Very short.
June, July, before the release. So, oh my God, I don't know.
Oh my gosh,
they did it
super short post-production.
Very, 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 very short.
Wow.
So you would think filming in Ohio in the summer would be fine, but they were near a lake.
Oh God.
So weather
so many
cells.
mosquitoes, I imagine.
Oh my God, I don't get bit by mosquitoes really. I say I have sour blood is what I always joke about.
I'm mosquito bait.
You are?
I'm anytime I go out in a group of friends, I have the most mosquito bites when we come back inside.
It's been like decades since I've had a mosquito bite.
Tell me your blood secrets, Al.
Sour blood. I don't know. It boils in there. So they would have, because they were by this lake, they would have weather cells that would like pop up. And so
that's so perfect.
They would have, I know. So I think some of the rain that they would get was real because they would have these 20-minute where they'd kind of have to either use some of it for shots or they would have to pause production. So you just see them like running off. Again, there was the making of, but it was a really, really, really short making of. So they would have to kind of keep like pausing filming if they needed to. And I'm sure they got some B-roll from that. So moving on to production, I'm actually going to switch my order and do VFX later. So cool. They obviously a lot of it was practical on location. They had to, when they built the shelter, it took them about 2 weeks to do that.
Makes sense.
So they did like the interior, exterior. So the interior, it looks like when they talk about it, it was built on some sort of like I wouldn't even say a soundstage. It looks like a warehouse.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was not a soundstage at all. And so they carved out different sheets of styrofoam and then coated it with like mud and paint,
Amazing.
which oh God, I want to build one. And then the staircase in the ground, they built that on location and then again had to re-landscape it and make sure it looked like it had been there for a while. So those were the two big practical things they had to do. But a key production challenge was obviously the visual effects because of the storms. Director Jeff said that having written the script, he knew from day one that they were going to have a huge visual component that they had to deal with. So that's where I think a majority of this budget went.
That's why they could, quote unquote, only pay Jessica Chastain on
the lowest.
Day.
It was actually Jeff's agent who hooked him up with the Strauss Brothers company, Hydraulics VFX, who came on board really early on and started working on the film and also became executive producers on it as well.
Sick.
So who are the Strauss brothers? They founded their company in 2002. It's Greg and Colin. They like to call themselves the Strauss brothers, which I think is so funny. So if you're wondering what they worked on, so many amazing things. 300, Day After Tomorrow, Avatar, 2012, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, X-Men Apocalypse, Looper, Death Note, Stranger Things 2, and most recently Rampage. So they've done some of the biggest.
They've done a lot.
Yeah, done a lot. So
Great.
That's, again, budget makes sense for that. So some examples of the scenes that we see most prominently. So obviously the weather, but the scene where he walks in to get his daughter and then all the furniture lifts up, 100% CG. 100%. That entire set, which is like knowing, I knew that going in, watching it, I'm still.
Wow, that's incredible work.
Yeah. So super insane. So
are we talking like all of the chairs are real chairs that they're animating lifting, or the chairs themselves are CG?
CG. So they had someone go on set and take photos of.
Oh, did they do a 3D scan?
3D, but not even a scan. Pick photographs.
That's so sick.
Photographs.
That's so
and
sick.
then one by one, they removed the furniture so then they could get the room. And then they fully built that room out CG, every single furniture piece of CG, which, again, for 2011 and being such a small film to put that much into that which was a huge moment, to be fair, in the film.
Absolutely. But I also think it's such a smart usage of CG because it's a sequence that, again, it's meant to feel dreamy and not quite like kind of happening in an uncanny valley. And so the fact that there's something about it that like
might feel a little off
a tiny bit off feels completely appropriate to the moment.
Yeah.
Love.
So it's I can't believe the whole thing.
That's amazing.
And with all that work, the scene alone, Jeff said the brothers joke that one scene featured more CGI work than any one scene in 2009's Avatar. He's like, at least there was some tangible stuff in this. This was basically
That's
CGI
incredible.
from scratch is what they called it, which I think is like a wild statement to make.
That's
Maybe not in 2025, but then it's like, whoa. So again, we're kind of rounding out already. I've gabbed already enough about this. Premiered in January of 2011. So there's that timeline for you from.
Yeah. So they shot in the summer and premiered that January. Oh yeah, because it's a Sundance film.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. And do you want to guess what it grossed? We know Warren saw it in theaters.
Yeah, because of how big both of their careers were this year.
I mean, they had a lot of stuff going on.
I feel like 40 mil?
I fucking wish.
Too high?
3.7.
No!
It didn't make a damn thing. And domestically, it only made 1.7. Internationally, it made 2. So it didn't even do that well here. I don't think it got the release.
That makes sense.
I do not. And I think with all their other work, things got pushed and this got pulled. Because they probably, whatever studios or agents they
prioritized those films instead of this one.
Which sucks. But critics and audience response is 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 92 from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, 80 from audiences.
Your film is higher rated than mine.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Because less people have seen it and we all love it.
Yeah, true.
That's what it is. I also am going to start bringing in Letterboxd reviews. So it's 3.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd. And I think the one review I think is talking about one of his older films characters to this one, but it was if you can't handle me at my schizophrenic, you don't deserve me at my clairvoyant.
I saw that last night.
And then this one kills me. Lucy says this, whoever Lucy is. The sexual tension between me and the weather from now on after I've seen this movie. Which I love. And same,
So
Lucy.
good.
Same.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert gave it a 4 out of 4 stars, which I love. And he says, quote, Michael Shannon's performance he's talking about here, "It is the gift of actor Michael Shannon as Curtis that while appearing to be a stable husband and father with a good job in construction, he also can evoke by his eyes and manner a deep unease. Here is a frightening thriller, based not on a special effects gimmicks, but on the dread that seems quietly spreading in the land, that the good days are ending, the climate changes or other sinister forces sweep away our safety." So again, I love that because it's very much in context. Talking about the ending, this is where I want to kind of, we have so much to discuss. So since the release of Take Shelter, obviously a lot of people have talked about the ending.
Right.
And in an interview with Creative Screenwriting, 5 years after the release, we have a little quote from director Jeff saying, "I have a very strict idea of what the end of Take Shelter was. I know exactly what happens, and it's fascinating to see people respond to it in their own ways. The beautiful part of storytelling is that you're not just telling people a story, they're also telling you something about themselves too through their reactions," which is what I said, that like we probably all have a different take on it. "I really can't think of any more rewarding or fulfilling result of something you've written. It's an active, kinetic, and really humbling." And then I have another quote from him that I'm going to end on. It's from 2012, and he talks about it again, the ending. "For me personally, the moment that matters, dream, not dream, real, not real, whatever it is these two characters looking at each other and connecting. The fact that they're both seeing it, and that's what matters. Because if this film is a meditation on marriage and the commitment and communication, then what the ending has to be is these people are on the same page again. They had this wedge put in between them from all these various factors, and now at the end, they're looking at each other and they're seeing each other. They're together, and the circumstances that surround that, please open up to interpretation." So I think to your point, his thing was anxiety and the fear of living in this world and just being newly married and what that means to him. And the same, like, again, Warren, I think, like, I love that you started this conversation off of, you know, you saw it from, like, you saw your dad and Michael Shannon's character, and now you are in that role. And I think, like, that's the story. That's the thing for him. But I love directors and writers that are like, that's the point. I want you to think about it. So I'm hoping that, like, you know, again, I think we could have ended it, but I know he probably wanted to give the audience just that little extra that me and you feel like we don't need. I'm like, don't tell me shit. Don't tell me shit. I will figure it out. If you do a good job at storytelling, like,
especially if the idea is supposed to be that the most important thing is that they're connecting, it feels to me like letting it continue as long as it does places a false emphasis on the reality of the storm.
Which the emphasis on the storm.
On the storm.
Yeah. A lot of people,
to me, is not the point.
Right. Yeah.
Like, the storm itself feels like a red
I wonder if he wanted
to
to, like, I do too, because a lot of people, I read too when I was like, what do other people think about, and going on Reddit about the ending, a lot of people think that he's like a prophet, and that was the thing. But I'm like, Jeff's like, no, that is absolutely not what we're talking about here.
That to me was why the ending, I was like, no!
Yeah,
because it feels like it
prophecy
very much gives this, like, Old Testament bent to the rest of the movie that I don't think was the intention. Like, it
wasn't the intention. Again, open to interpretation.
Of course.
But
like, especially in the context of, like, because we see how much of his community is based around church and around like, and so much of their connection or lack of connection centers around, is he coming to these church events? Is he not coming to these church events? Like, it very much then makes the rest of the movie feel like it's centering around church in a way that, like, I don't think was actually the intention.
I'm wondering where that he grew up in Arkansas, so I wonder if that was just, like,
religious place to grow up, even if his family wasn't. I don't know.
Right. So, but I don't know if that, like, helps, but I'm with you. I love, especially knowing his intent. I feel like we could have.
I like his vision. I feel like there are things that could have made that vision come across clearly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's
love
such
this.
I also just like, again, I have to compliment the sound design so much, especially like
I know, I'm sorry, everybody.
No, it's like it's so I mean, you and I were having a conversation about this a couple of weeks ago. There's like such a tendency now to kind of push towards everything being as clean as possible and as loud as possible. And I think so much of what made this movie so impactful is it was mixed pretty quiet, and it's also mixed with a lot of the raw environmental sound left in. Like I was listening and I was like, those mics sound almost untouched. And it's so effective because like you hear the sounds of the actual like summer insects underneath his voice as he's talking, and like sometimes it interrupts the speech a little bit, but it's not like you can still understand what he's saying. It's just there's such a sense of he's really surrounded by this world, and especially by the weather of this world, that I think the environment is so of it, carried across by that choice in the sound design and the choice in how to mix it and what values to uplift in that mix. I also just love that it's shot in 2:35:1, that aspect ratio. It's what I shot in too, and it's an aspect ratio that I think you so rarely see in horror. It's something that is so often associated with Westerns.
Yeah, because you don't want to see
that
much.
Right. It's a very landscape-oriented way of shooting, which is so
one
perfect
shot
for this film.
of when it really shows that backyard, and it's such like, I forget, is it his character that's standing out there or her? I can't remember. My mind's blank because I was just looking at the background. But it's just like, I think Trav said too, it's like, he goes, I can feel the humidity in the scene.
Also the shot of the kids' play structure just being pelted by rain as the camera just like slowly pans over the landscape. Like choosing to shoot it in that aspect ratio does so much to emphasize the sense of like this overarching big thing coming that is going to dwarf these characters, especially when you have such a tall actor as Michael Shannon. I think having it be so letterboxed is really, it does a lot to make him feel smaller in the frame, which I think is really smart.
And even to the point too that he's so exposed that like, where do you hide in this frame? You know, you can't, and he can't hide from this inevitable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Warren,
so
thank
juicy.
you so much for letting me watch this again. Now I own it on DVD.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, Warren's got one more thing. He's coming in.
I'm coming in. Okay. Here, I'll just lean over here. Okay. So
you guys were not good at this. That was, if you're watching this on YouTube, go watch this specific timestamp on YouTube.
So just back to Michael Shannon's like stoicness, because kind of like death mask that he has throughout this whole film is I mentioned that Hulu took this down as I was watching this.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, that's something to note for people. That's why we bought the DVD.
Yeah, and so I had to go and get it on iTunes later. The film paused on Michael Shannon, and I was just like, I didn't realize for like 10 seconds that
you
it
were
had
just
paused.
like in it.
I was just like, this is how slow this goes. This is how many shots just
like,
linger on him, and he's just completely still.
Oh my God, I love
like,
that. Oh, Warren, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Again, that's what I love about this. It lets you like linger in these moments and like think in real time with him to a point. Yeah. Oh my God, I love that's actually really delightful. That's actually really funny. It just it points out that like I love films like that though. It's so funny because Jacob's Ladder is so
not like that.
It's
not a film that's big on giving you space to breathe.
Yeah, no. So like in that way too, to watch something but this like pacing of films like this, I just love because if they're done well, you know what I mean? It just I think that's so funny though. That's so funny. Oh my God, I love this film. I just love it. I love Michael Shannon. Everyone's perfect. It fires. I love
fires on all cylinders.
It does. Shall we take a break? Because I actually talked more than I
look at that.
intended.
I had a feeling.
Thanks everyone for helping me
I had
fill
a
up time. Thanks, Warren.
Yeah.
I'm glad Warren got to talk.
Let the right Warren.
Yeah, I'm so curious of everyone's interpretation of this, or like Warren's perspective. If other people have that, like I watched it at this time in my life, and then I watched it at this, like, yeah,
That's
I can only
so
imagine.
To me.
Yeah, what that kind of shift feels like. So, on that note, should we take a break?
Yeah,
we'll be right back.
Whenever you need to scrub the dead away, choose from one of the many tantalizing scents from Creeps and Coffins, a woman-owned small business with products to invigorate your soul. Creeps and Coffins offers an array of all-natural body care products to help you get your skin so soft it's to die for. Ghoul-tested and witch-approved scents range from fruity to musty. There's truly something wicked for everyone. Scrub away the grim with their sugar scrubs, invoke relaxation with their wax melts, slaughter dry skin with their body butters, and hail eternal peace from another realm with their signature whipped soaps. To enjoy a moisture massacre, use code SPLICE for 10% off your purchase. Check out creepsandcoffins.com today, where horror meets hydration.
Yeah.
How's that?
How's that? Nothing worse than a flaccid mic, you know?
So true.
Almost as bad as a flaccid Brad. I don't know. Get it? Because Mike, it's a name. Come on. It's bad. Brad, I don't know why that was a name. Have you ever met a Brad? I haven't.
This needs to be in the episode. Please keep this in more. And we're back.
I just made a bad joke. On our break,
you found two
things. One, Trav kind of sleuthed that we talked about like if Take Shelter was like a studio film and the Jessica Chastain making only $100, it's a non-union film.
This wasn't
completely
SAG?
Completely. And he was saying some of the studios listed on it.
There's 4 studios involved.
4 studios involved.
This is their only movie.
Yeah, 3 of them is their only movie. So it actually might be $100 a
That
day.
actually could be
But if someone
$100
knows,
a day then,
double check. Would love to hear the facts. And Siena, we had this conversation yesterday.
Yes.
I've started watching the Twilight movies.
Yes.
Listen, last year it was Fast and the Furious in a hotel.
Yeah.
This year it was Twilight in a hotel. I'm on the train. I'm on my second one. I'm watching the third one.
Truly can't believe it took this long.
Same week or the week after Take Shelter was in cinemas, Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1 was in cinemas. So maybe the world is wanting to go see that.
Also hot off the heels of a Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Oh, Deathly Hallows also came out that summer too. I think there was a lot
for an
happening.
indie film.
Because even Warren was saying too, and like again, the trailer is what really got me to watch. I was like, holy fucking shit. I would just watch trailers and be like, I'm renting that, I'm doing that. I miss the days of picking. I'm trying to avoid trailers these days. I'm just trying to go by titles, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I think it just got
poorly cut these days.
They just also reveal a lot, especially in horror. So typically,
tell you too much.
Yeah, it's a hard time to know what to watch these days because it's like we were talking directors as IPs at this point. So it's like, oh, if it's a Kruger film, I'm going to watch it. But like also, I want to explore beyond the Hollywood men that we have. So, anyways, those are my 2 things. So
fascinating.
You have a tidbit.
I do have a tidbit. Do you want me to give you the tidbit before or after we bring Warren up? Let's let the right Warren.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Come on up here, friend. Talk to me about Jacob's Ladder. I'm so glad you finally gave me an excuse to watch this.
Well, I hadn't seen it in a really, really long time.
When did you first see it?
It was part of like a slew of catch-up movies that I was like, when I was a kid and a teenager, I was like, these are going to terrify me. I should wait till I'm an adult. And then I was like in college and I was like catching up. Yeah. And so like probably like 18 or 19.
Okay. That feels like a great time to watch it for the first time.
Yeah. And I remember it completely differently. As
really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
No. I mean, like the war aspect was still in my mind, but like I did not know where it was going and the twists.
Interesting.
Twists, multiple
so
twists.
Many twists.
Yeah.
This is a twisty film.
Yeah.
So when you first watched it, what was your impression then versus now in terms of what felt so different?
Well, I mean, like the feeling of just like, oh, okay, this is a movie about losing your mind and how scary like that can be, but also is it like,
Right,
you know, like
right.
it was kind of riding that line, but it introduced that concept to me.
I know it's I'm trying to remember the name of Jason Matsukas' podcast where he does How Did This Get Made? Yeah, where like the running joke on How Did This Get Made is he'll say, do we think this film is a Jacob's Ladder situation? Like for like every other film. So it's like it's become it's a trope now.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah, kind of like Identity, where the big, you know, pull the rug out is like this is all in someone's
head. Yeah.
Oh, am I spoiling?
we can't talk about Jacob's Ladder without spoilers.
Yeah, and we can't talk about all these movies that are spoiled in this fashion without doing that.
Yeah.
But
anything we compare it to, it's going to spoil it.
Yeah. But I do. Okay, first of all, I gotta get this out of the way before we jump into all the stuff. Did you look up the IMDb for this movie before you watched it?
Yes, I did my research first, which was unfortunate.
Dang.
I was so mad about it because I considered watching the movie first, but I was like, I've never done that for a movie on the podcast before. I've always done the research first.
Yeah.
And I never read plot summaries of the films. So it's like the only info I encounter is the info that the writers, directors, creators describe in their
But what about the
interviews.
cast? Did you look at the cast list?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So you knew, because to me, this time...
Oh, the Macaulay Culkin reveal?
Yes. Jason Alexander.
Oh, I know.
Ving Rhames.
It's the wildest fucking cast.
And then the dude from ER, I can't remember his name, shows up.
I have Eric LaSalle, I think.
Yeah, this was just like every 15 minutes I was like, what are you doing here?
Star-studded cast, top to bottom. And from wildly different areas of the Hollywood stratosphere, too. It's... What a cast. It truly is one of those, every single person who had a bit part in Jacob's Ladder went on to an incredible career in wildly different ways.
Totally. I think what is the actor's name who plays his wife?
Let me pull it. Elizabeth Pena.
Elizabeth Pena is I think she's super good.
The wife or Jesse? That's Jesse.
Jesse. Yeah, I guess they're not married. Okay, so getting back to the twists and reveals of this whole thing. So along the way, we learn one of the twists in the third act is this the reason, like, all these people are having, you know, flashbacks and seeing demons following them, and there may actually be government agents, but maybe they're demons, is because they were all dosed with a hallucinogenic drug, LSD of some sort.
I have facts about this.
In the battlefield.
Yes.
But then the final twist is that all of this has been occurring while he's been on his deathbed.
Yeah.
Essentially, since the moment they all attacked each other, which is the thing, they attacked each other and killed each other because of the drug. Yeah. Therefore,
we don't know that that's true.
That's true at all.
Right.
And he doesn't have any basis for even a seed of thinking that.
Right.
Because it's all occurring in that deathbed hallucination.
And yet, the closing credits giving us that bit about the U.S. government has denied this seems to tell us that there is some part of that was true. And it kind of is a little bit of a Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me situation where the narrative folds in on itself chronologically, because if it is true, then that's why they attacked each other. If it's not true, then we don't know why they attacked each other. And so that incident, it's kind of a Schrodinger's cat situation, right? Where it could be true, it could not be true, it could both be true and not true at the same time.
I mean, but... and then, like, the director coming in and being like, by the way, this, like, really happened.
Right. It's so funny.
But it, like, undercuts
the point.
It.
Yeah. It completely undercuts. Like, I really wish he'd left that off, to be honest. Like, it's an important chapter in U.S. military history.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, that's so not the point of the movie.
No.
and it does feel like a little bit of that like Take Shelter's ending going on 5 seconds too long, where it's like you did such an incredible job of building up this lack of coming down firmly on either side, where it is so open to the viewer's experience.
Well, I'll tell you that, like, the first time I saw Take Shelter, that ending to me was like, yay, he's not crazy. And I was just like, that's good enough for me. But this time watching it with, fatherhood and that perspective, it was more along, I think, what Al was saying about the director's intention, which is like, it's about that connection. And so that really does hit home for me. It's like, what is the French term? The new Joker movie, folie à deux?
À deux, yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought maybe it was more of that. So it was
does
just like,
kind of have that sort of a vibe to it as well.
Yeah.
Like maybe they've both gone insane.
Yeah.
Like,
at least they're on, but yeah, they're on the same page.
Yeah.
So both these movies are about the nightmare of American healthcare.
Yes.
And the
nightmare of America in general.
Cut off the end.
Yeah. And like in both films, the main character seeks professional help and
does not get it.
Hits roadblocks and hits, incompetence and
I think in both films, that's like one of the most tragic elements to me is how much both of them are really doing everything you're supposed to do to try and get help. And it just like doesn't help.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I mean, like, and I do think that this is a genre, right? Like, this is what Breaking Bad is about.
Yeah, I agree. We have so much to talk about there because I think people so fundamentally misunderstand Breaking Bad, and I think that's very much at the core of it. Nobody talks about it, so thank you, Warren.
Yeah, the the slipping through the cracks. I think this still goes on today, and like very not much has been done. A lot of people have been talking about it, but the film that we had discussed pairing with Take Shelter was Safe, the Todd Haynes film. And so I wondered what your take on that film was. Is that a horror movie?
I absolutely think it's a horror movie. And it's been a long time since I've seen it. I need to go back and revisit it. But I think part of what's so interesting to me in Safe is so much of it feels like I feel anxiety towards the rest of the world on the main character's behalf. Like I'm with her and feeling like everything is against her. Whereas I had kind of the opposite reaction to Take Shelter, where I felt, like I said, the first time I watched it, I was expecting the main character to snap and harm everybody. And in a sense he does, in that, he's kind of destroying the lives of everyone around him as he's doing everything he possibly can to not do so.
I mean, he's destroying everyone in that cafeteria, the Lions Club scene. Yeah. In that he's destroying the thing. And I think equally the dance club scene, Travis and I were talking about this, where she's turning into Jezebel is turning into this demon, this sexual demon on the dance floor, and he's going nuts and it gets all bloody and crazy. But like this, oh, you're making everyone else uncomfortable.
Is like that's such a big fundamental part of both of these films is this idea of like, it doesn't matter if the world is ending, don't destroy our social fabric.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that in Take Shelter, no one can look at him.
Right.
That's what I keep seeing. Is like everyone's just like looking down in that scene. And that's what makes the Jessica Chastain coming up to him and like touching his face so powerful. Yeah. Is that she's willing to confront it and like,
which I think is also a big part of what is so scary in Jacob's Ladder is the unnerving way people make eye contact with Jacob. Because I think especially as somebody who used to live in New York, that was a lot of what I was thinking about is like, usually you do not make eye contact with anybody, especially on the subway. It's like there's this kind of intentional avoidance of the gaze. And even when you do make eye contact with somebody, there's oftentimes this kind of blank emptiness to it, right? And the way that characters will stare meaningfully into Jacob's eyes in this movie is so that I think tips you off to who the demons are more than the makeup does almost. It's like the gaze and the presence or absence of the gaze tells you whether you're safe or not. And that's really fascinating.
Yeah. But there is no demons. There's nothing. It's all hallucination.
Or is it?
But last thing I'll say is Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
What a cutie.
He's so incredible. Okay, also, this came out the same year as Home Alone.
Weird.
Yes. We're going to talk about it. Same year as Home Alone. And he's not credited in this.
But Macaulay Culkin like keeps doing these things that are traumatizing. Like the My Girl, The Good Son, which I really want you guys to cover eventually.
Seen. Ooh.
So he kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah, it's really okay. Yeah, put a pin in that. We're going to talk about Macaulay Culkin and his casting and all of that. Come back on up here, Al.
Thank you.
Get on out of here, Warren, as I slap my microphone down.
We have to do The Good Son, The Orphan. I just realized. Ooh, I think those would be really interesting. Also, that's
Good Son, Bad Seed.
Yeah. Good Son, Bad Seed. That's crazy because he looks so much younger in this
film. Yeah.
Also, I was going to say I was gagged by everyone because I knew nothing because I didn't do research. I knew how have I lived this long? This came out year after I was born, so wouldn't have seen it till a while after, anyways. But Jason Alexander
weren't taking you to the theater as a 1-year-old to see
Jacob's Ladder.
And you remember it?
Honestly, any parent that did that is cunty.
Oh, yeah,
and I love that for them. That kid is so cool now. But
completely unfazed by anything.
Truly. But yeah, Macaulay Culkin popping up, I was like gagged. Also, even as a little kid, there is a 50-year-old man in that body.
Absolutely.
And
he's
like
so
him
tired
saying
of
daddy,
life.
I'm like, he needs to say father or call him by his name.
We're going to talk about that.
He's be like, Jacob.
That's
how he needs to say that, Father Jacob. And then Jason Alexander absolutely threw me. I was like, oh my fucking God. Can I just say, Warren, thank you so fucking much. I would have never watched this film aside from the podcast. Just because strictly if I would have saw anything war related, it's not typically
not your thing.
I just can't attach myself to it. I'm never really entertained by many war movies. I mean, there's some that are really well done. We kind of talked about it. I forget what film we talked about, but like the anti-glorification is what I appreciate that when directors do that. Obviously, this is one of those.
Yeah, this is not a flattering portrayal of the U.S. military.
Not at all. And just to touch too, while we're like on that topic, and I know we'll probably get to it later, but I thought the same with the end credits. I did look up I basically wanted to know because I started to get really sleepy last night, and like the movie was so packed that I kind of just looked up like what other people's interpretation of the ending were. A lot of people seemed like they had criticism of the title at the end, which I did too. I think at the very least there should have been a in-universe mention, or like that could have gone at the beginning of the I don't know, there could have been like some way to like preface you for something you didn't know was happening, because it still wouldn't have it would have been better served if they wanted it at the beginning than I think the end, because I think it does take away the journey you went through.
I think it falsely emphasizes something that's really not the point of the movie.
Which could have been a red herring at the beginning.
Which is how it functions in the film.
Yeah. So if they wanted to keep it, I think the ending, that just, I was like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Give me the credits.
Yeah,
Give
absolutely.
me the credits. So.
And I did bring in history about the actual drug that the U.S. military used, the history of, or allegedly used. We're going to talk about it, but it's the U.S. military. Who are we kidding?
Who are we talking about here? But I got to say, I
Did you love
am
it?
chomping at the fucking bit to watch it again.
Yeah.
It truly might be one of my, like, it's up there now. So thank you, Warren, for... Finally, I knew we were going to do it at some point, but watching these together too. But
it was
a
really good double feature.
God, I love this movie. God, I love this movie.
Yes, excellent.
The first 5 minutes, I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And then I was like, "Tails?
Oh yeah,
tails? Okay, I'm in.
Penis tails?
Yeah.
Yes."
Also, just again, even for war films, the one friend who's just sitting there watching it, kind of like
oh yeah,
that sold me though.
Disgusting.
I was like, whoa.
Well, and of course, at at the beginning you don't realize it, but all their jokes about like, oh, the professor's out shitting again, like that's telling you really important information about why he's having a different reaction to the drugs than everybody else, because it's evacuating his system faster because it's coming through the food. So yeah, and he's the only one who's got the shits, and so he's been dosed with less than everybody else. Or like he's been dosed with more, but there's less of it in his system at that moment. Oh my God. Which I think makes sense of that look that he gives the person who bayonets him, where you see that like, what's going on? I know you in his face that Tim Robbins does.
That's so good.
So well. But, yeah. So like even in those first 5 minutes, there are so many little plot tidbits that you're being given that don't seem like they mean anything at the time, but sure do.
I feel like every goddamn thing in this film is something.
Especially I love an opening scene. I love thinking about first and last lines, and the first lines of this film are strong stuff. As they're taking the hit of the joint. Yeah. Strong stuff or strong shit. I can't remember which they use, but like it's
probably shit.
tells you something about where you're going. And I love it when you have opening lines that encapsulate the whole film like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just so excited to
ready?
hear.
Buckled in?
Yeah.
Strapped
I'm
in?
so buckled.
Okay, fantastic. Let's start out with the title tid.
Yeah.
So this actually has an alt title, which I thought is interesting for a film that like Jacob's Ladder, Jacob and the Ladder are very key parts of the plot. Yeah. So like what could the alternate title possibly have been? For a long time, this film was called Dante's Inferno.
Oh. Yeah.
Glad they didn't do that.
Yeah.
But tells you right off the bat, we're already very much in the realm of religious literary inspiration. So put a pin in that. Makes sense also of how we then end up at Jacob's Ladder, because Jacob's Ladder itself is a reference to a biblical story.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm guessing you probably know about this.
It popped up when I looked at it. So.
Yeah,
I was shocked by it though.
With a film like this, like you can't not Google a little bit, right? So for those who don't know, the story of Jacob's Ladder comes in the book of Genesis, and it's a dream that Jacob has about a ladder between heaven and hell. But the fact that it is a dream within the Bible, I think, is really interesting. Specifically,
I know nothing about religion.
I've only read any of the older New Testament in a literature class, so that's like the perspective that I'm bringing. Yeah. Okay, so Jacob's Ladder, 1990, classified as a psychological horror, as we were talking about. It's also appeared on lists of vetsploitation movies, which I thought was hilarious. Oh, wow. I really don't think it is that, but like, wanted to shout it out.
Yeah.
And boy, does it have the taglines to show that this is a psychological horror.
Oh, cool.
We have two.
Oh my God, amazing. Okay.
The first one is You Can't Run From Your Own Mind,
Ooh.
Which I think is excellent. Second, So Bad, and it's the one that's used the most. Oh, no. It's just not well written. Okay. Like there's a good tagline in there had they taken about 5 words out. The most frightening thing about Jacob Singer's nightmare is that he isn't dreaming.
It sounds like a Nightmare on Elm Street thing.
And it's also like you're kind
also, why are you giving it away?
Yeah, you're spoiling the plot.
Yeah,
like,
bad.
But yeah, terrible.
You're like, by 5 words, you mean every word. Take every word out of that tagline and just have nothing.
He's dreaming.
Yes, also he is. Like, what does it mean? It's a terrible tagline. Yeah. But very much putting us in the realm of psychological horror.
Yeah.
Directed by Adrian Lyne, which is so incongruous. Like the fact that this is an Adrian Lyne film is so weird to me. The thing that I know him from the most is the 1997 adaptation of Lolita.
Oh.
Yeah. Huh. Weird, right?
Yeah.
Here's some other things that he's known for. He's mainly, to people who aren't obsessed with Vladimir Nabokov, he's mainly known as...
Me, I'm that person. Oh, who's Vlad?
He's mainly known as an erotic thrillers guy. That's like his big thing. Okay. Yeah. Those who know and love Karina Longworth and her You Must Remember This podcast, which is amazing, one of the best researched film history podcasts out there.
Oh, cool.
She did 2 seasons, Erotic 80s and Erotic 90s, that talked a lot about Adrian Lyne's filmography because he directed Indecent Proposal, Fatal Attraction,
fuck,
9.5 Weeks, Flashdance.
Oh my God.
So like out of those,
I've
I think
never seen Flashdance.
I haven't seen. Have I seen any of those? I haven't seen any of those except Lolita. Nice. So out of those, I think Fatal Attraction is maybe the closest to horror territory that he's gotten.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty fucking far off. Like, there's a bunny in a pot. I don't know.
I remember when I made that poster for the cinema.
He also had a 20-year hiatus in his career from 2002's Unfaithful all the way to 2022's Deepwater, which got pretty mixed reviews. And he doesn't have anything listed in development right now. So his heyday was very much the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
This coming in at 1990 is very much like lying at the peak of his fame.
Wow. Yeah.
But again, famous for erotic thrillers. And so this film, it's an interesting choice of director. And I think a lot of people, like, it doesn't feel like an Adrian Lyne film to me in so many ways. And I think a lot of that is because this is a very screenwriter-forward story, and we're going to talk about why. Written and associate produced, so put a pin in that, by Bruce Joel Rubin, who...
Name's not familiar.
He also wrote another movie that he won an Oscar for that came out the same year as this.
Whoa.
Ghost.
Funny, I've never seen that.
Again, isn't that wild? You've got two people who are famous for their, like,
kind of
erotic thrillers.
Yeah.
Like, that is, it's so fascinating.
Interesting.
Both films about death,
Sure.
but in a very different way. He also wrote,
Oh no.
what a weird career. Deep Impact, Deadly Friend, My Life, The Time Traveler's Wife, Stuart Little 2.
I mean, a classic, right? Everybody? There was a second
exploitation
one?
classic.
Yeah.
And The Last Mimsy. The Last Mimsy from the writer of Jacob's Ladder.
Do you think some of these fuckers are fucking with us? Because goddamn.
So, like, you can
Stuart Little too.
You can truly say the sentence from the Oscar-winning writer of Stuart Little 2. That is a sentence that is truthful. Put that on the posters, everybody.
Fucking funny.
And he is not a Vietnam vet himself, which we're going to talk about as well. We'll get plenty into what did inspire the script. Do not worry. So this film stars Tim Robbins as Jacob Singer, probably best known as Andy Dufresne from Shawshank Redemption, which allegedly he was cast in because of his performance in Jacob's Ladder, which makes a lot of sense. He's also Phil in Howard the Duck. Yes.
Trav's excited about that one.
Dave in Mystic River. Griffin Mill in The Player, which I realized in the course of researching this is what the executive played by Bryan Cranston in the studio is named after, because that character's name is Griffin Mill. He's named after the character that Tim Robbins plays in the movie The Player, the Robert Altman movie The Player.
That's so funny.
So just like a fun little shout out for studio fans out there.
Yeah.
He's also Merlin in Top Gun, Ebby in Bull Durham, which is what he was mainly known for at the time this came out. All of the contemporary interviews are like, oh, it's the guy from Bull Durham. How weird. From Bull Durham. How weird. Jeff and Twister, speaking of weather movies. Norville in the highly underrated Coen Brothers film, The Hudsucker Proxy, which I adore.
Yes, we just talked about that. Crack it open. Crack it open, Warren. Crap open a cold one, I almost said. I did say that, actually.
Now we did. And he is the president in Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Wait, I realized I don't think I know what this man actually looks like.
Yeah, he's...
Jeff and Twisters.
I know, he's...
Twister.
What a career. Tim Robbins has been in, like, everything.
It's not in Twister.
Not Twister.
What?
It's not in Twister.
That came up on here.
A different Twister.
Oh.
There's another... Okay. 1989, there's another movie. Like
Crispin Glover, Harry Dean Stanton.
See?
What?
See?
Okay, so not
he's
the Twister,
in a Twister.
Not the Twister we're all thinking, everybody.
I've not seen any Twisters, so I wouldn't know.
Is it about swing dancing?
No,
It's about the game. Okay, that's not the real. We need to do natural disaster.
He is Jeff in a movie called Twister.
Yeah.
Just not the one you're thinking of.
If everyone else was gagged.
That's so funny.
You just made so many of us go on IMDb. Siena was really like, I'm going to play a game with you all.
My God.
Is this
Going into my Saul mode. He's also right now Bernard on the show Silo. So he's still active, still working.
God, he's great.
What a career.
Yeah.
The late, great Elizabeth Pena as Jezebel Pipkin. She, at this time, was mainly known for playing Rosie Morales in La Bamba.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's so funny.
Fascinating.
She's great.
She goes on to play Pilar in Lone Star. She's Leticia in Tortilla Soup, Dora on I Married Dora, Marisa in Batteries Not Included.
Batteries Not Included, shout out.
I thought you'd enjoy that one. Johnson in Rush Hour, BB on Resurrection Boulevard, Lolita in How the Garcia Girls Spent Their Summer, and she's the voice of Mirage in The Incredibles.
I love that character. No fucking way.
That's Elizabeth Pena.
Amazing.
Danny Aiello is Lewis. He's Sal in Do the Right Thing. Incredible. Johnny in Moonstruck. Johnny has his hand. Johnny has his wife. Tony in Leon the Professional. Tommy in Hudson Hawk. Monk in The Purple Rose of Cairo. Police Chief Aiello, so clearly named after himself, in Once Upon a Time in America. And Tony in The Godfather 2. We have Matt Craven as Michael. He's Zimmer in Crimson Tide, the CIA director in X-Men First Class, Lieutenant Dave in A Few Good Men, Chief Bill on Sharp Objects, Sheriff Fred Langston in Resurrection, and Daniel Bergt in Disturbia, which I did not recognize him from at all.
Is he, this character?
Michael, he's the one who, the drug synthesizer.
Ah.
Yeah, the one who comes and explains that the government's been dosing them.
Oh, God, he's great.
Mm-hmm.
So funny.
Pruitt Taylor Vince is Paul. He's Paul Kent, or Pa Kent, in the 2025 Superman.
Oh.
Yeah, he is the dad in the new
No
Superman. Also Malcolm in Identity.
That was so good.
He's the head, you're in.
Yes, he's the head you're in. Well said. Put that on the poster. Identity. He's the head you're in. He's JJ on The Mentalist, Mose in Deadwood, and Buddy in Wild at Heart. I love to shout out a David Lynch film whenever we can. Jason Alexander, as we discussed, mid-Seinfeld era. This is during the run of Seinfeld.
No idea.
As Geary. Also, he's Philip in Pretty Woman. Put a pin in Pretty Woman.
Okay.
I know nobody's going to expect that, but put a pin in Pretty Woman for Jacob's Ladder.
Sure.
He's also Larry in Coneheads, and I didn't realize this. Jason Alexander is the voice of Hugo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah, he had a... he's also in the Brandy Cinderella movie.
True, which is incredible.
The best Cinderella movie
so
ever
good.
made.
Yes,
with
strong
the best
agree.
music.
Strong agree.
Yeah, he's got a wild ass fucking career.
Yeah, and
Truly,
no
like,
matter
he
what else he
pops up.
does, he's only ever going to be Costanza.
Hands
down.
I am
Costanza's down.
I'm gonna start getting into winter puffy coat era with him with his Zortex or whatever it's called coat.
Gore-Tex. Yeah.
Gore-Tex.
We have Patricia Kalember as Sarah Singer. We actually talked about her on our last Warren birthday special because she's in Signs.
Was she the wife?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know I think she's the wife in Signs. She is the wife in this one. The estranged wife. She's also Marka on Orange is the New Black, and Kate Egan in Power and Power Book 4, Force.
What a title.
Which I've never...
Don't you love looking up, like,
of.
film names?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what's everyone doing?
Series.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think
Amazing.
it's a series that's like spawned a bunch of spin-off series.
Really?
Yeah,
Wild.
I have never heard of it.
Yeah.
Eric LaSalle is Frank. He's also Will Munson in Logan, James in 1 Hour Photo, Daryl Jenks in Coming to America, and Peter Benton on ER.
Oh, we have to cover 1 Hour Photo. I just got that DVD too.
Is that
Frank the it's definitely
horror?
It could be. I don't know. Weigh in, everybody. I feel like we could cover that. It fucked me up a little bit.
Fantastic. I love a arguable
creepy
horror.
Yeah, he's creepy.
Too. And of course, gotta give a shout out to Ving Rhames, as we mentioned. He's playing George here. He's Marcellus Wallace from Pulp Fiction, Luther in Mission Impossible, and Marcus in Bringing Out the Dead. And our beloved and uncredited Macaulay Culkin as Gabe, which it's weird because not only did this come out the same year as Home Alone,
That's wild to me.
they're so close in time that they're right on top of each other in his IMDb, which is very weird. But again, not credited. And according to IMDb, I couldn't verify this anywhere else, but it makes sense to me. The reason that he's not credited is because Macaulay Culkin's agent dad, Kit Culkin, decided that it, quote unquote, didn't fit his son's image.
I knew that was going to be your thing. I bet, it was
which I'm like, you have no idea who your son is.
Yeah. I'm so glad they're all doing well right now, though.
Yeah, agreed.
So, they seem happy now with their...
But it's so funny because like Jacob's Ladder is so much more Macaulay Culkin is than Home Alone. Yeah. Like that is the person who goes on to make Party Monster.
Yeah, right.
100%. Oh, absolutely, hands down. Would love to play at the theater sometime.
Absolutely.
So good. And the production company of this film is Carol Co. Pictures, which was ringing a podcast bell for me. Are you remembering why?
No.
Are you remembering why? Carol Co. is a name we talked about recently because pre-bankruptcy, the company no longer exists before, pre-bankruptcy, Carol Co. were the owners of the soundstage in Wilmington, North Carolina, where Brandon Lee was killed on the set of The Crow.
Fuck. Wow, that's
It wasn't a Carol Co. Productions production, The Crow, but they shot at Carol Co. Studios, and that's where the incident happened. 4 years after Jacob's Ladder, too, so close in time. At this point in 1990, though, the company's doing pretty well. They just acquired the rights to Spider-Man, which they never go on to make. So, yeah. I'm really curious about the history of Carol Co. and how this company that was doing really well at this point kind of fell apart so quickly afterwards. But, okay, writing. This is... I don't even know how to begin to tackle the writing of this film.
Yeah, no shit. I can imagine.
It's quite something. So as I said, this is a very writer-centric story. Writer Bruce gave me several great boons in the process of researching this film because he not only... I've never seen this before, especially for a film from this period. The day that this film was released in theaters, they co-released a companion book, Jacob's Ladder, which had the shooting screenplay and an essay by screenwriter Bruce. So this was very much being framed as this like the screenplay is key type of thing. So there's that. There's also screenwriter Bruce has a website where he has sections on each of the films he's written. So obviously a giant section on Jacob's Ladder. And he posted the original screenplay draft there. Not the one that they shot from, but the one from like 1983, I believe, that as we're going to go on to talk about is the one that got greenlit. So I got to read a lot of chunks from the original screenplay as well, which I highly recommend y'all go do if you have the chance. It's
Everyone needs to
fascinating.
Do that more.
And he talks about on that website the fact that this film, love it when this happens, inspired by a nightmare. And we have a great quote about it. It's a nightmare he had in 1980, 10 years before the film's released. So let's set the scene.
Yeah.
Quote,
Love that.
a subway late at night. I am traveling through the bowels of New York City. There are very few people on the train. A terrible loneliness grips me. The train pulls into the station and I get off. The platform is deserted. I walk to the nearest exit and discover the gate is locked. A feeling of terrible despair begins to pulse through me as I hike to the other end of the platform. To my horror, that exit is chained too. I am totally trapped and overwhelmed by a sense of doom. I know with perfect certainty that I will never see daylight again. My only hope is to jump onto the tracks and enter the tunnel, the darkness. The only direction from there is down. I know that the next stop on my journey is hell. Partly that came from my own fear and despair because nothing in my life seemed to be working. In Illinois, where he's living at the time, I felt like my story had evaporated completely. I could have given up on my filmmaking goals and settled into a different kind of lifestyle. Instead, I woke up from my subway dream and said, that's a great opening for a movie. And then I tried to write my way out of hell.
Oh,
this is my jam.
So good. Wow.
So he writes his way out of hell. Even just like reading that description.
I was gonna say, that's so.
It's so inspiring, right?
Have shit like that. And say stuff like that. Wow.
So he writes his way out of hell and finds it very hard to get his nightmare produced.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, right.
which is not to say that nobody is interested,
Sure.
but at the time, we're talking 1980 through 1983, he's getting a whole lot of offers from what he describes as Nightmare on Elm Street type companies,
Sure.
like really cheap, low budget horror companies who are like, we can do this on the cheap. And he doesn't want that. So instead, he decides to let it sit, and sit it does until in 1983, American Film Magazine lists it as one of the top 10 unproduced scripts. And it starts.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can we bring? Is that existing still? We need that.
It's
wanna read-
basically the blacklist is kind of the closest comparison point now, which like there's a lot of good scripts that come out of the blacklist's best unproduced scripts lists.
That's so cool.
This is a really like early proto example of it. And so from that article, it starts to get a little bit of buzz, enough buzz to attract a couple of directors who are interested in it, but not enough to get a major studio to sign on. And as his agent tells him, quote, Hollywood does not make ghost movies. So he goes and writes Ghost.
Yeah.
But
oh my god, yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, it's and wins an Oscar for a screenplay called Ghost.
That movie, huh?
I've not seen it, but yeah,
that's the one with the little clay gay moment.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Gay clay moment.
The gay clay moment. Yes.
Trav's crying over there. He's like, it's a beautiful scene.
But so then, writer Bruce's screenplay Deadly Friend gets made by Wes Craven in 1986. And even though that movie does really badly, it's apparently successful enough to convince Paramount to snag the rights to both Jacob's Ladder and Ghost. So they buy both of those screenplays.
Holy shit.
Once those rights are bought, Adrian Lyne reads the script, gets super curious about it, decides to direct Jacob's Ladder, apparently instead of, he's attached at that point to Bonfire of the Vanities, a project that gets discussed a lot in those Karina Longworth series that's famously terrible.
Really?
Like everything goes wrong on Bonfire of the Vanities. It's like one of the worst disasters in film history. Nobody died, but like short of that, it's
just disaster after disaster.
Just disaster after disaster.
Oh man, that sucks.
But so this ends up being a really good career move for Adrian Lyne to have chosen Jacob's Ladder instead of Bonfire of the Vanities. But why does he make that choice? Because he's already signed on to Bonfire of the Vanities at the time, has to have his agent call up and back him out of the deal. Well, remember that infamous 1988 writer's strike? It's the writer's strike. Yeah. Everybody's looking for finished scripts. Lyne goes digging through the scripts that Paramount's already bought, finds this, and decides, oh, this is actually more interesting. I gotta do this. But then, in a classic Hollywood story, Paramount has an executive leadership change. The new heads come in and decide they don't want to make it for a couple of reasons. One being the Vietnam of it all.
Sure.
And one being the ending. Put a pin in the ending.
Okay. Because you said the script was different.
The script's very different, at the end especially. The rights then get sold to Carol Co., but Lyne stays on the project with honestly probably an even cushier situation than he would have had at Paramount. Put a pin in that for when we get to the budget, because it's insane. It's insane. The budget on this film is insane. But he basically, I think, likely has more creative control. And the writer gets to move up to be an associate producer, too, which I think is very important for this story.
Yeah,
because,
that's
again, writer is so central to this. Hi, we had to descend down into the depths of hell. Things got a little bit too hot here. We had to climb onto the tracks, come back up.
Our neighbor's trying to fucking make this purgatory and get us out of here. So,
which again,
I almost
so appropriate for these films. They're both about the descent into hell. Speaking of,
anyways, we're back.
Themes approach in history. All right, so
locked in. Actually, I'm super locked into this.
Yeah, it's oh my god. Okay, so told you to put a pin in religious texts, obviously from the title, starting with Dante's Inferno, going to Jacob's Ladder, both religious text inspired.
Oh yeah.
The religious text inspirations do not stop at the title, nor do they stop at Dante and Genesis. Writer Bruce is also, according to him, aiming for a modern take on the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
Oh.
Here's a quote. The inspiration, in a sense, is my entire spiritual upbringing. Once you have a meditative life, you start seeing that the world is really far different than what it appears to be. What appears to be finite is really couched in the infinite, and the infinite imbues everything in our lives. What does he mean by calling this his spiritual upbringing? So Bruce himself is somebody who was raised Jewish, but spent 2 years at a Tibetan monastery, which, speaking as somebody from a Jewish family, what a stereotype. But that's like such a thing.
Is it really?
It's Jewish Buddhists, such a thing. I don't know what it is about us, but there's a big crossover there, and it makes a lot of sense that that's where this would be coming from. Also offers a good insight into how Bruce is looking at the horror elements. Here's a quote. He says, "The horror of the movie would be in the revelation that hope is hell's final torment, that life is a dream that ends over and over with the final truth, that life was never real, that we are all creatures trapped in eternal suffering and damnation," which is like such a Buddhist horror idea. The idea that hope is the ultimate horror, that's like very, very Buddhist. But that's the screenwriter's intent. What of director Adrian?
Oh, God.
Well, here's a quote. Quote, "I can see why people didn't want to make it for so long. It reads like a novel, and it's very intimidating because it's written so descriptively. Bruce had these very literal images of heaven and hell that I didn't know how to bring off. How do you introduce a character with horns?" And that is going to be a recurring theme throughout this conversation of writer Bruce writes something and Adrian Lyne thinks that it will be funny on screen, and so does something else. So we're going to talk a lot about that as we go on.
Wow.
But so his answer to this idea of how do you introduce a character with horns is basically like, okay, I'm going to throw out all of the Old Testament stuff, too intimidating, not going to think about it. Instead, what I'm going to do is dive really deep for several months into just watching endless Vietnam docs and reading about near-death experiences.
Oh my God.
To which I say, how is that less intimidating?
I would feel like I'd walk out of that just like
destroyed. Yeah.
rocket in a corner.
It's so funny to me that he's like, oh yeah, religion way too intimidating. Let's tackle PTSD trauma and near-death experiences instead. Fascinating. So that's setting the stage a little bit. However, director Adrian and screenwriter Bruce do come together on one particular point of inspiration, which is the incident at Owl Creek Bridge. This is both a short story and a short film. Short story is from 1890. The short film is from the 60s. It's about a half hour long. Spoiler alert for a 135-year-old text. It's a very kind of early example of like this sort of stream of consciousness style that comes to be much more prominent in the 20th century. And it's from the perspective of a man who you find out in the end of the story that the entire story has taken place in the seconds before he's hung. He's being executed on Owl Creek Bridge. And like the story ends with he like feels something around his neck, the rope tightens, and he dies. So not hard to understand why this would be a very big reference point for both of them. Glad they had that as a point of agreement. I think that's a really necessary unifying factor.
Absolutely.
Other sources that the duo draw on, though, include Diane Arbus photography, and Joel Peter Whitkin, who I wanted to give a shout out to because he, first of all, is Albuquerque based.
Really?
So he's a local.
No way.
And secondly, one of the most striking images of this film comes very directly from a Joel Peter Whitkin photograph. I'm going to show you both of these in just a second.
Yeah.
They also both referenced the Brothers Quay short, Street of Crocodiles, which is based on one of my absolute favorite short stories of all time, and I highly recommend to any fans of creepy short form stop motion. Really good. So I'm going to show you, I have here stacked on top of each other from top to bottom. This is Diane Arbus, Joel Peter Whitkin, and then Street of Crocodiles. The Joel Peter Whitkin is the one I really want you to take a look at in the center.
Oh, whoa.
So see, that's that image you have in the hospital where Jacob comes around the corner and sees this man who has no legs. He's kind of holding himself up on his arms and his head is shaking very rapidly from side to side, is directly taken from a Joel Peter Whitkin photograph that Adrian Lyne talked about.
I feel like the longer you stare at those photos,
the more horrifying they become.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. All three of them.
Indeed.
Even the stop motion. Yeah.
Indeed. So I think all three of those are going to be very up the alley of anybody who likes this film. I think you can see the inspiration very clearly. They also debated a whole lot about the idea of the stairway to heaven, where the film ends, which, you know, as we talked about, the ending, very they have very different views of how it should end. The original, it's written very literal. There's an actual stairway to heaven. There are angels. There's like the whole description, it's very like Hieronymus Bosch-y.
Okay.
There's the script actually shouts out, like name checks Hieronymus Bosch in the text. And so Adrian Lyne, I think this to me works a lot better in theory than it does in practice. And I'll talk about why for when we get there. But Adrian Lyne, he was estranged from his father, and his father had died 15 years before he made this film. And he was thinking about that and thinking about how much he wished that he had the opportunity to have some kind of a reunion with this absent father who's died. Sure. And so he starts thinking about that idea of this longing for a reunion with someone you'll never see again. And he wanted to play the idea of the stairway to heaven instead as akin to going up the stairs at home to go to bed.
Papa's calling me home.
Exactly. So like his whole kind of his like conception of heaven and hell is like heaven is home and hell is a hospital.
Yeah.
Which I think
sometimes you're just feeling the most shit that you want to just be home.
Yeah.
That is where you want to be.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And it's very going to what you were talking about with Macaulay Culkin being such a like 50-year-old in a child's body. One of the things that Adrian Lyne talks about on the featurette for this film, the making of featurette, is this idea that he really wanted that moment to be a role reversal where the child is acting like a father figure.
He guides him.
And his kind of thinking behind it is like, you know, this child has been dead for longer than the father has. So he knows the ropes of the afterlife. And the dad is coming and he's scared and he's confused and he doesn't know what's going on. And the kid becomes a father in that moment. And it's like, I don't think anybody could have played that but Macaulay Culkin.
No.
Like, that's such perfect
That's a
casting.
wise old man there. That's crazy.
And so, let's see. I want to shout out one comment from a producer, and then I want to talk about the drug note from the end, and then we're going to move into production. Yeah. So, producer Alan Marshall, this is the only time we're going to mention a producer on this film.
Yeah. Again, it's like your second time ever mentioning a producer.
Goes on record to say that, quote, the Vietnam War was a plot device rather than something we were trying to make a huge issue of, which I think is really interesting. And I wanted to bring that in because I'm not sure I completely agree.
I don't think I do either.
I don't think I agree with that. I do think it's a means to an end, in a sense, in that, like, what the film is ultimately about is like a journey through death and is about death. But I think the kind of death is very important. The fact that it is happening in violent circumstances and unexpected circumstances and that it's friendly fire. I think all of those are really key to what's going on. I also think this is something that like there could be a whole other film theory rant corner on that like I don't think we have time to get into here. But I also think there's like a racial component to this film that is very under the surface that I don't think the film ever fully decides how to deal with, but like is also a very prominent part of the Vietnam War. Is the idea of the othering of, you know, the enemy, and I think that's something that comes across very potently in the way that white women versus women of color are treated in this film. But we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So put a pin in that. Note on drugs.
Yes.
Note on drugs. So the compound mentioned at the end of the film is called BZ.
BZ, yeah.
It's very real, does cause severe hallucinations, was developed as kind of an offspring of military research into... This was a point in the 60s where the military was like, oh, this LSD thing sure is fucking people up. What if we did something that's like that but worse? And so they came up with BZ. Does cause very severe hallucinations, panic attacks, stuff like that. There have been real accusations that the military tested it on soldiers in Vietnam. The military has denied those accusations.
No, they're going to be like, yeah, we totally did that. We did that.
And I found a research paper that describes the symptoms of... So BZ causes something called anticholinergic syndrome. That's like what happens when you take it. And it's something that can be caused by other kinds of bad psychedelic experiences. And this medical paper describes the symptoms as, quote, hot as a hare, red as a beet, dry as a bone, blind as a bat, and mad as a hatter. This is from a medical paper.
Oh my God. That's a
Isn't that
terrifying
horrifying?
description.
So, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
BZ officially banned in 1969, but accusations of illegal use in conflicts in Syria, Bosnia, Russia, etc. continue to pop up as recently as 2011. So
Really?
it's, Continuing. Adrian Lyne points to the book Acid Dreams, the CIA LSD in the 60s Rebellion as a big source of inspiration, which I've read it. It's a fascinating book.
I was going to say it sounds... Yeah.
Really good. Highly recommend it. He does, however, acknowledge that, like, this isn't meant to be a documentary. Its use on troops was never proven. I'm like, if you need to state that, what are we talking about?
Like, you can just leave that out.
Yeah. However, I feel like if you want to dive deeper into that history, go read the book. There's a lot of fascinating stuff to talk about with the combination of the military-industrial complex and the history of drug use in America. That's like, we don't have time to get into it on here, but just like nodding to it.
Whole topic.
Because you can't not in a film like this. Okay, moving into production.
This is so hard to like move on from certain things. It's so meaty.
I know I really think this might be my longest segment yet. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't think anybody's
so
surprised.
Much. Yeah.
So I told you that this film has a crazy budget. Yeah. Would you like to take a guess at what that crazy budget was?
Crazy budget. Oh my God. I like don't know what spectrum you mean by that. Is it like 25 million?
I truly think this is my highest budget film that I've covered yet.
What the fuck?
Including more recent films.
150 million.
Okay, so
I forget what the highest was. Was it 90,000 or 90 million?
You've probably covered one.
Maybe
high.
that I
I
don't know. 75.
So in an interview with the New York Times, Lyne himself puts the budget at 25 mil. So what you guessed?
Okay, it did say
what you guessed.
You gave me nothing
However,
from that.
but the thing is, I have two budget figures to bring in.
Okay.
So that's one.
Okay.
Which is already easily one of the highest I've covered. For comparison, I was like, what is the highest I've covered? I think it's Cabin in the Woods.
Because that was your most recent, too.
And Cabin in the Woods, 30 mil. And that was tons of computer effects more than 20 years later. So that's just as a point of comparison. And that's the low end of the budget figures that I've pulled from this.
I would have put 10. If you didn't say that, I would have guessed 10 mil.
Yeah. I honestly think you could have made this for 5.
Yeah.
So that's the low end. A 1990 Variety article that came out like 2 days after the interview with Adrian Lyne saying it was 25 mil said that it was 40 mil instead, which is definitely the highest budget I've covered and seems goddamn insane to me because I got very stuck on this, obviously. I was like, okay, what the fuck did Apocalypse Now cost for reference point? Because like obviously Vietnam movies always cost more, but Apocalypse Now 31.5 mil in 1979, and that was all jungle shooting. This has like 10 minutes of jungle.
Yeah.
So just putting it out there that both 25 and 40 are there in reputable articles.
Yeah.
Bram Stoker's
Dracula,
also 40 mil.
Also thank you. So that's higher. Yeah. That would be the highest I've covered. But that one, I mean, also is like they stuck to doing only like 1890s period effects.
Yeah.
Like,
you see it.
Yeah, and
there's very like
there's like 1400s costuming that like it makes sense that it would be
I feel
that
like
expensive.
10 mil would have been like even if you said 15, I'm like
it would make sense. Even 25 seems insane. The idea that this could have been a 40 mil feature.
Where's it going?
I'm gagged.
Where's it going?
Gagged. Especially because exactly. Warren behind the camera. Yeah.
Put that in post, Trev. Do it in post. Make our heads go.
I could tell you how to do it, but we're gonna get there.
Yeah. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. So production started on September 11th, yikes, 1989 in New York City. Shot through January 1990. Jacob and Jesse's apartment was shot on a soundstage in New York, but that set was based on a real Williamsburg tenement. Oh. Apart from that, all the rest of the film was shot on location. It was shot in Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and Puerto Rico, standing in as Vietnam. Also, shout out to the Puerto Rico National Guard. They provided the helicopters used for production. Really? For any of y'all who don't know that Puerto Rico is part of the United States.
Oh, God, yeah. If you don't, I don't know. I'm bad at history and geography, and I know that.
We at least know that. The subway dreams were shot. I love this. I also brought in a photo. They were shot in a long abandoned lower level of the Bergen Street station in Brooklyn, which it seems people are still urbexing to this day, which I love. Brought in a photo for you. Yeah. Oh! Look at that. So it was already decommissioned at the time they were shooting there, so they had to
spooky.
I know. They had to spruce up that station and re-add in the tiles that give the name the Bergen Street Station because it was so destroyed that like they had to make it look like it was currently in use.
It's like the opposite of everything we do. They actually do fix up the
thing instead of distressing. It's so fascinating. But I mean it makes sense because like they're not gonna, even with a 40 mil budget, you're not going to shut down the MTA for a day. It's not going to happen. Also, shout out to the hospital location. That was in Staten Island at the Seaview Hospital, which is a historic tuberculosis hospital, which you may recognize because it's also a location in the first Terrifier.
Shut the fuck up. That's cool.
Just some fun little juicy tidbits. It's also now, it was defunct for a long time, but now parts of it are being used again as a hospital, which I find kind of creepy. Fun. So there might be somebody out there staying in one of the rooms off the Jacob's Ladder hallway.
No, thank you.
Cast and crew. So Tim Robbins and Elizabeth Pena were actually some of the first actors to audition for this film. But higher-ups being higher-ups, the executives were worried because neither of them had been, like, the lead marquee name on a feature at this point, which, like, I also think there is a lot of racism going on with Elizabeth Pena. We're going to get to that in a second. But anyway, so both of them, so they auditioned a hilarious group of A-listers for both of these roles before choosing these guys.
Oh, no.
And, like, there were fascinating people vying for these parts, too. They auditioned, like, I think more than 300 for Jesse in particular. Oh, wow. So I have lists for both main characters. For Jacob, do you want to take any guesses?
None.
None?
None.
One I'm sure you could guess.
For Tim Robbins, for Jacob? That's such a wide net, Sienna. Give me a hint.
Give me one name. Give me the first name that comes to your mind.
Oh my God, I almost said Bill Murray. That's not what I meant to say. Bill Pullman.
Al Pacino!
No! Why did I not guess that? I was like, surely not.
Yeah.
Surely not.
I'm sorry, I'm sure I just surely not. Levels more in, but
Al fucking, what the fuck?
Al motherfucking
I was
Pacino.
Like, no, that's just I was trying to think of like 90s. This man is
horror
fucking
queen
auditioning
dreams are dashed again.
It's going on the shirt. On the shirt it
the many horror faces of Al Pacino. Picture him
Al's
with, like,
ladder.
It's me. Al's ladder. Picture him with like the glasses from the poster and the like scary face.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Motherfucking Al Pacino. They also auditioned Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and Richard Gere.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Dreyfuss.
No, that I could see.
Yeah.
Richard Gere for Jezebel.
Oh, no.
They were thinking Andie MacDowell. They were thinking Madonna. They were thinking Demi Moore. And they were thinking Julia Roberts.
I knew you were going to say Julia Roberts, Pretty Woman.
There is a world in which in 1990, 2 films could have come out starring Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. And Pretty Woman and Jacob's Ladder.
Can you imagine?
Isn't that insane?
Oh, my God.
I almost want to see it. Not because it would be good, but just for the heck of it.
God, why did I not guess Al Pacino? I'm very disappointed.
So thank goodness Lyne stuck to his guns and came back to these 2 actors who were so right for the parts. But I also think so telling that all of those actors for Jesse I just listed off are white women. And that's something that I encountered icky comments about as I was reading critics' reviews from the release of the film. I brought in a quote from the New York Times write-up of the film at the time of its release.
Who wrote this?
Oh God, I didn't write down the writer's name. I have
Shame,
it linked,
shame.
but yeah, I needed to read this out just to be like, oh, fuck you. He called her, quote,
No, I don't want to hear it.
an unlikely choice for a character Mr. Rubin conceived of as having Midwestern farm roots. To which I say, who the fuck do you think is holding up the agriculture of the United States?
Right?
Who the fuck do you think is picking your produce,
Yeah,
dude?
you really think it's white people?
It's not, let me tell you.
White people are not the backbone. We are.
No. Also, like, maybe they own the farms. They're not the ones out in the field, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So,
Ew.
shout out to Elizabeth Pena. So glad she kept the part. Think she's fucking perfect for it.
I can't even imagine another iteration of her character. She was so balanced in her performance.
There's this great interview with her on the featurette where she's talking about the character. She's like, Jessie's a little complicated. She's like, she's the mother and she's the child. She's good and she's evil. She's an angel and she's a devil. And she lists all of these opposites. And she's like, and she has to be all of those things at once. So, just a easy character to play.
That's what I mean. The balance of like the different scenes. It's like, I can't to carry those scenes and do them so well. And not be like, I feel like that's an easy character to feel like they weren't developed.
Yes.
And also not likable.
I strongly agree.
You know
and
what I mean?
I also think had Jessie not worked, the whole movie would have fallen apart.
Yes.
Even more so than Tim Robbins, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, his performance is incredible.
I mean,
but I think had you had an actor who did a workmanly job as Jacob and everything else was the same, I think the movie would still be impactful. I think had you had Tim Robbins and fucking Madonna in this movie, it would be a disaster.
Yeah.
It would be a disaster. I don't think it would work.
Yeah. The casting was perfect. I mean, he is. Oh God, the bath scenes with him and stuff.
Oh
too,
my
they're
God,
just,
yeah.
insane.
Which Adrian Lyne says is one of his favorite scenes in the movie because it when he's coming back out of the water and his eyes are all red and the tub's all blue. Adrian Lyne describes it as looking like a rebirth, which I think is really yep.
Yeah.
Let's see. Talking about why Robbins is such incredible casting, I brought in a quote from Adrian Lyne. He describes Robbins as, quote, somebody who's vulnerable, who's so childlike and funny you want to hug him, and says that for that reason he really only ever considered casting Tom Hanks as an alternative, which I could see being really good, actually.
Yeah.
And in a weird twist of fate, Tom Hanks did star in Bonfire of the Vanities that year, which Adrian Lyne almost directed and turned down to do this instead.
Funny.
So just a weird world.
Yeah.
I mentioned that the screenwriter is not a Vietnam vet, but they did thankfully have a Vietnam vet as a consultant on the film, as a military advisor. He also apparently has a bit part on screen. I couldn't find where he is, but it's Captain Dale Dye, who was also the military advisor for Platoon and put all of the actors playing vets through a 5-day boot camp for this. So, which I love that you hear about that happening usually in war films. I love that they still did that for a film where you only see 10 minutes of it.
Yeah. But it does,
It's important. It's really important.
Yeah, that's great.
Also, I love this detail. This was such a satisfying insight into the direction of this movie. So these special effects sequences and Robin's reactions to them as Jacob were always shot separately. So first of all, you never see Jacob and his the monsters at the same time.
Yeah.
They're always in separate shots.
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
them and then the reaction. Lyne intentionally shot them separately always as well, usually on different days even.
Sure.
And he would always shoot the special effects first with Robin's present off screen so that he could stand there, watch it, take mental notes on the process, and then have a couple of days to sit with the imagery, internalize it, and kind of make his own mental version of it before shooting the reaction to it. So that the reaction would then not be to the thing itself, but to Jacob's idea of the thing, which I think is such a great detail.
That's really, really good.
Also, just a stupid little tidbit. Tim Robbins is 6'5".
Whoa.
Doesn't that feel wrong?
He feels
like he's like 5'9".
Yeah. He feels short king level.
Gives short king energy.
Wow. How did they?
So, because of that, because Jason Alexander is only 5'5", a full foot shorter, that's why their confrontation happens on the stairs. They had to re-block it to distract from the height difference.
Oh, I bet Jason Alexander was like, absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, especially
because too tall for me.
Yeah, well, because he's
not
playing,
like this.
he's a lawyer. He's like shooting him down. He's like the last hope.
I do feel like having a really tall, because I don't think I ever felt his
height.
Because even Jezebel, like I don't remember feeling that big of a difference.
I'm sure they had her on Apple boxes all the time.
Right, they had to, because I don't think having the character be that tall
would have worked.
But I love that they still cast him for that.
Well, because he really does feel so boyish.
And
I think
he
if
feels
you were
like
more,
you want to hug him.
If you were more aware of his height, it would feel less like that.
Yeah, you don't want to protect him in that way.
You really only see it in a couple of sequences where he's walking past background actors, and you can see like, oh my god, he's like a foot taller than everybody.
Maybe in the subway sequence.
Yeah,
I feel
that's like basically it.
That's so funny. What a great job on the filmmakers for making that work. How tall?
6'5".
Jesus Christ.
So taller than Michael Shannon. 2 inches taller than Michael Shannon, who feels so much bigger.
Looming.
Yeah, like I feel like you imagine putting them next to each other, and I feel like you could picture him like putting Tim Robbins in his pocket.
Yeah, that's wild.
So
really interesting, actually.
That's
not a stupid one. That's an interesting one.
So making of. Cinematography is by Jeffrey Kimball, who shot Top Gun, True Romance, and Mission Impossible 2. Also, loved this. Had to shout this out. He shot Beyonce's Run the World (Girls) video.
What a wild...
Jacob's Ladder and Girls Run the World.
I actually can't get a visual beat on him.
Yep.
Wow.
Just completely disappears into whatever project he's working on. Specifically cites Francis Bacon paintings as a major influence for the dream sequences especially, which of course will ring a bell from our conversation about Aliens, since Francis Bacon paintings were big inspirations for both H.R. Giger and David Lynch, and since I believe that that's the source of their bizarre feud. Also, they shot the sun flashbacks, all the sequences with Macaulay Culkin on 16mm for added texture, so that they feel more like a home movie. Yeah. He really emphasized extreme close-ups for the sense of tactility to really put you in Jacob's perspective. And he also said that his intent was to avoid, quote, an omniscient point of view, which would tend to suggest the demons were real, and instead to shoot as much from, like, Jacob's POV as possible, which I think is a really wise choice. They also lean really hard, both Jeffrey and director Adrian as a team, into showing less rather than more to create this impression that there's something truly horrible lurking just outside the frame. And I wanted to shout out that this film uses an early form of snorri cams, which, do y'all know what a snorri cam is?
I know.
Of course you know what a snorri cam is.
I did at some point. Reminds
me. It's the name for those rigs that attach a camera to an actor's body, where it's like facing you.
Yeah. Funny.
The snorri cam, named the snorri cam, was only invented 6 years after this film. But it had existed sparsely throughout film history before this point.
Sure.
The first usage of that kind of a like camera rigged to the body of an actor is from a 1932 German movie that was banned by the Nazis.
Wow.
Wild. Wow. It gets used by Jean Renoir. It gets used by Satyajit Ray. John Frankenheimer uses one on Seconds. Scorsese uses one in Mean Streets. But it doesn't really start becoming kind of a major part of pop culture until Darren Aronofsky uses it for Pi and Requiem for a Dream, both of which are after the snorri cam proper is invented. Sure. However, after watching this film and watching the behind the scenes for it, I think Jacob's Ladder deserves a lot more credit for how much it uses that technique that goes on to be, now it's like so ubiquitous in music videos especially. So just shout out to Jacob's Ladder.
That's so
I think
cool.
this is one of,
I didn't realize that,
like the early adopters of that as such a major plot device.
That's so cool.
Because
I love that.
previously,
Film
the other
history.
films I'm shouting out, it's like you'll see a couple of sequences shot that way.
Right.
Here, it returns and recurs.
Yeah. It's a major.
It's part of what tells us when he's
Language
having
of
a
it.
vision almost, or a hallucination, is when we go into that snorri cam. Production design by Brian Morris, who did Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, Evita, The Boxer, The Hunger, which I really want to cover. And I thought this was so delightful to discover. He's the production designer from Pink Floyd's The Wall, which I think makes perfect sense looking at this movie. That sense of like this authoritarian, almost cartoonish world that's kind of shifting and collapsing in on the viewer as you watch.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. And one of the film's prop masters was a vet, I think a Vietnam vet himself, and used his own actual discharge number for Jacob's paperwork, which I thought was kind of sweet.
I love a little,
just a little human touch. And so satisfying. Director Adrian, on the day, didn't come up with this beforehand, but when they get there to do the Hell Hospital gurney shot following the wheel, he like calls the PD team aside and is like, we need to shorten one of the legs on that gurney so that the wheel doesn't touch the ground. And so he has them cut that leg a little bit shorter so that it's off balance. And so you follow that wheel spinning and not making contact. And it's actually the screenwriter who recalls this story and is like, seeing him come up with that on the day, it was just such a brilliant visual metaphor for what my script was saying.
So can you imagine if that wasn't there?
I know. If it was just smoothly rolling.
Yeah.
Like,
even going over like the limbs and shit like that. There's something that's just like
that sense of it just spinning absently in space. It's so good. Music composed by Maurice Jarre, rightfully famous composer who we've talked about before. He also did Ghost, so worked on that same film, same year. But he also composed Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, Dead Poets Society, Fatal Attraction, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, The Tin Drum, The Damned, and Eyes Without a Face.
One of my favorites.
He's an absolute legend whose work spans like almost every genre, has worked with directors from many different continents. This film also has some incredible period needle drops. You get Lady Marmalade, you get James Brown, you get Marvin Gaye. Also, the James Brown track you hear, It's My Thing. That's the one that's playing in the party scene.
Yeah.
From an album called Hell.
I love that little
so
detail.
Good. So good.
The soundtrack's incredible.
It's so satisfying. Special effects. This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Every special effect in this movie is done in camera.
That makes sense.
All of it.
That actually makes sense for this. It feels tactile.
It does, which is
It's
exactly
incredible.
why they did it. They were like, if it doesn't feel like these things are real and grounded, it's going to destroy the message of the film. And it's going to destroy the way that it walks that line.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason Take Shelter is able to do that is because it's, when we see CGI, it's mostly happening in moments where we're not sure what's real.
Yeah.
This, because it is so important that we feel that it is real. I think it's so wise that it's all practical and tactile.
Is this where we get into even the head thing was?
Oh
my God. I was
real.
like, wait a second.
Yes.
Wait a second.
Yeah. So that super fast head shake.
Yeah.
So clearly Francis Bacon inspired. That's really where you see the bacon come across.
Absolutely.
How they did this was Lyne just shot the actors shaking their heads. They would have to hold their chest as still as possible, would shake their heads normally, and he shot it not at a high frame rate, but at a low one.
Sure.
He shot this at 4 frames per second.
Amazing.
And then sped it up to 24.
Yeah.
So what you get is this, because the actors are working so hard to keep their chest still, which I think I've seen other people try to do this since.
Yeah.
And that's where I think Jacob's Ladder does it most effectively, is because with the chest still and just the head moving, you still see a little bit of actor chest movement because there has to be, but it makes that look like it's like that's happening at real time and the head is shaking fast. And so it creates this disjointed in time effect.
I would have never guessed that was done that way.
4 frames per second sped up to 24, which
it's so good.
And I asked Dana too, I was like, what's like the lowest frame rate you've ever shot at? And she was like, maybe 12. Like I've never heard of 4 frames per second.
Single digit.
It's wild. FX were done by Gordon Smith and the team at FX Smith Inc., nice. Which worked on a lot of Oliver Stone projects. So they did Natural Born Killers, Platoon, Born on the 4th of July, as well as my beloved Dead Ringers, which I really want to cover sometime. And the special effects makeup was actually a very big point of contention between the director and writer, because as we touched on in the original screenplay, the demons were supposed to look very demonic. Yeah, it was very based on, we see one of the William Blake illustrations for Dante's Inferno.
Is that what he was looking at?
That's what he was looking for, which I actually have one of those prints on my wall. So when I saw that, I was like,
hey.
Yeah, which I do think that Adrian Lyne is right. That, that works in visual art. It's not going to work the same if you see a real person with horns moving around.
Well, also with the visuals of having the angels at the end,
that would have felt too on the nose.
Yeah, it's just
yeah. So
it would have been cheesy, honestly.
So what they draw on instead, Adrian Lyne pushes back and convinces over time the writer to come around to his side. They take inspiration from thalidomide babies. Do you know about the history of this? Oh, okay, another terrible chapter in history. So thalidomide, it's actually used again now. It's come back into use for cancer treatments, but it was infamous it was used in the 50s and 60s as a treatment, particularly for pregnant women. For anxiety, sleeplessness. It was given especially for people who were experiencing morning sickness. And it's infamous because they've since discovered that taking even a single dose of it in specific days, and
deformities?
It causes deformities.
I feel like I think I've seen pictures of this.
It's particularly... I've never heard of this before. It actually, what day in the pregnancy the mother takes it on between days 20 and 28 of pregnancy changes what kinds of deformities it produces.
I was going to say, do the cells mutate in a certain way?
So which is so bizarre. But so was on the market in the 50s and 60s. It was blocked from ever being admitted into the United States, so it wasn't used here.
Oh, wow. It seems like we'd be the ones.
I know. This is one of the few things that we did right, honestly. But more than 10,000 children, especially in West Germany, suffered birth defects because of it. It mainly causes phocomelia, which is the development of kind of flipper-like appendages for arms and legs.
I've seen pictures of this.
It can cause absent or missing limbs. It can cause different numbers of fingers, things like that. So what Adrian Lyne was talking about especially was he wanted the demons to feel fleshy. There's this fleshy quality to them, which I think especially in terms of the idea of it being really grounded in the tactility of it, I think is a really good approach to take. And for the shot where the horn comes out of Jesse's mouth.
Yes.
So cool. I loved
so
this.
Good.
They combined 2 shots for this.
Okay.
So they have the actor with an actual horn being held in her mouth, which she's slowly pushing out with her tongue. And then they cut very, very quickly for just a couple of seconds to a miniature of her.
Whoa, it's a miniature?
For the horn shooting out. That's how they shot that.
With all the flashing and everything, too, it's you
don't notice it at all.
I want to just pause frame. I want to go frame by frame. I want to go back and do that, to be fair.
Yeah, and then it cuts back to her full scale with the horn actually out.
Sick.
I love that
miniature
detail.
Is not what I was expecting. I thought just head cast.
Yeah, or I thought it was possible that it was reversed,
Oh, sure.
There's a lot of different ways to potentially do something like
miniature
that.
Was not on the top of my list. Yeah.
It did not register as one to me, which I love. All right, released. So famously/infamously, the version that we watched is not the original Jacob's Ladder.
Really?
Because after initial test screenings, Adrian Lyne decided that his horror movie was too horrifying for audiences to handle.
Whoa, that's the opposite of what we hear.
We're going to talk a lot about it. Depending on which report you read, he cut between 20 and 30 minutes of scenes.
Holy shit.
Yeah. He cut a fifth of the movie after screening. And it was his idea, too.
Yeah.
Mostly from the final act. There are 3 deleted scenes you can watch on the DVD. The rest, to the best of my knowledge, seem to be lost, which haunts me. You can, however, read them in the script since the screenplay is online. But even the original theatrical trailer uses a lot of shots from scenes that were cut from the movie.
I watched the trailer.
And with a film this visual, I feel like even if you can read some of those scenes in the screenplay, it does not compare to the experience of what it would have been. Among the scenes that were cut, there was a very graphic sequence involving a butcher slicing meat. There was a sequence where there was a professor mentor figure that was intended to kind of really establish Jacob as a philosopher that got cut. There's a sequence at the very beginning in the subway scene where Jacob tries to go into a bathroom and there's a guy getting raped in there. There's Jacob burning down an army building with a can of kerosene. There's a really interesting scene that I did watch part of the deleted scene for, where Michael gives him an antidote to the ladder.
Whoa.
And it's like this fascinating, he like takes him back to his apartment, takes out a dropper, has him put it on his tongue like a communion. And for a second, it seems that everything is back to normal, and then the universe like falls apart again. And I'm like, we needed that in there. I'm so sad that got cut out. There was also Jacob finds Michael's decapitated body, and there's this incredible sequence that's described in the script where Jezebel reveals her true form and turns herself inside out, and she's a demon.
Oh, I would love to have seen that. I would have loved it. I actually was waiting for that moment.
Yeah.
In some, just a little bit more. Not like a full reveal, but like I wanted to see pieces.
I wanted more, especially because it's so leading up to... Like, it's so planting clues throughout the narrative that, like, there's something not right with Jesse.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
And
we got it, but...
We got it, but I'm like, I wanted even just a
looking.
Flash.
Yes, yes.
Just like a subliminally quick cut.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, not a full thing, but...
Amazing.
Also, visually, I can only imagine what they would come up with.
So, why the fuck did Lyne do this?
Yeah.
Here's a quote. The truth is, the original end didn't work. People love to imagine ranks of marketing people sitting in the back of the theater saying, well, we'll do this and we'll do that and add a bit to the grosses. It's nonsense. I always wonder why they don't give Woody Allen the same tough time. He at times reshoots 100% of his movies. Why don't they ask him what he left out?
Oh, God.
So, like, this
Woody
was
Allen.
fully his idea. He wanted to cut these scenes.
So insane.
It's interesting. Film opens on November 2nd, Day of the Dead, which I love. In 1990, Ghost had already come and gone from theaters that summer.
Yeah. You said November what?
November 2nd.
2nd. Okay.
And it's number 1 at the box office its opening weekend.
Really?
But then quickly drops, almost like a reverse word of mouth spread.
Oh, fuck.
And so it only ends up making 26.1 mil domestically. I couldn't find any worldwide figures. So depending on which budget you buy, it either barely makes its money back or doesn't make its money back at all. Ultimately, though, the executives seem to have been kind of like pleasantly surprised by its performance given the subject matter, which makes me think it was probably 25 rather than 40.
Sure, yeah.
Otherwise,
they'd be horrified.
They'd be horrified, right? So, like, I feel like it had to have been like a, we weren't expecting it to make its money back type of thing.
Yeah.
How about critics? Currently holds a 72% from critics, and 84 from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is far lower than it should be.
It's also
by
higher
now.
than Take Shelter. But I think it's more people
Interesting.
have seen Jacob's Ladder too.
That makes
to a
sense.
point.
Yep.
But
especially given how influential this film is, I feel like it should be higher.
yeah,
But anyway,
people always cite this one. I don't know how I've let it go for so long.
well, and put a pin in what it influences. As far as reception at the time of the release, I promise I'm trying to round out here, y'all, but there's just so much to talk about.
I've barely been talking, to be fair.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm glad
For
nobody's
me,
getting...
I don't know if anyone else.
Nobody's yawning yet. So, as far as reception at the time, it was very much another case of critics either loving a movie or hating it based on exactly what the movie was trying to do.
Of course. Especially with this one, I
Especially with this. So, Ebert, brought in like you did, loved this, gave it a 3.5 out of 4. So, he actually liked Take Shelter a little better, which is interesting. But
listen, this man makes no sense.
I know.
He's not consistent.
He really is. He's not. So, he points out something that I think is very astute, though, which touches on something Warren said, which is that this film is not about story. And he says, quote, "That isn't the point. What Jacob's Ladder really wants to do is evoke the feeling of a psychological state in the audience," which is my favorite kind of film.
Really?
And a lot of the critics just didn't like the psychological state it put them in. To quote critic Owen Gleiberman as an example, who I've brought in before, quote, "By the time Jacob is being strapped down to a bed and wheeled down a hospital corridor strewn with bloody limbs, it's hard to care whether the Orwellian image is a hallucination or not. You just want out." To which I say, Yeah. That's the point.
Did he not hear himself talk?
I
Do they
know.
not reread their stuff?
I'm like, you think that's a bad review?
That's the point. That you want some sort of conclusion.
Like, again.
What is it?
Yeah. Jacob also wants out. That's
he
the
wants
goal.
clarity of like,
So come on, Owen, do better.
Wild.
It also, I think, had the bad fortune of being a psychological horror film released 3 months before Silence of the Lambs.
Oh no.
Which I think that's a hard thing to hold up to.
Yeah.
And by the time especially horror-specific awards seasons were coming around, Silence of the Lambs took all the awards that this would have gotten.
I was going to say Tim Robbins?
Yes.
I think he should have. I was going to ask you if he was up for any nominations.
No, which he should have been. Yeah. And it's also, it's also a very unflattering portrayal of the U.S. military that was released right in the midst of the Gulf War, which is something the actors talk about, is like, it came out in this period of, I didn't live through the Gulf War. My understanding is that it was a period of kind of increased patriotism in the general environment in the United States. And so I imagine that because of that, it was not quite as well received as it would have been, even just like a couple months after.
Sure.
But its influence. Oh, its influence.
Yeah.
So this film has been cited as a major source of inspiration by many creators of things we love and a few things we hate. Here's a few. Clearly, this is responsible for like all of Silent Hill Part 2. Like this film gave us Silent Hill basically whole cloth. Let's see, both the original and the Christoph Gans adaptations. Christoph Gans has gone on the record talking about loving Jacob's Ladder. Ryan Murphy's talked about it as an influence on AHS Asylum, which as I was sitting there thinking, where else have I seen the like shaky head effect? I think it's in the title sequence for American Horror Story. I think that's where I've seen it used.
Yeah.
And I think it's more effective here.
Yeah.
Shinji Mikami of Resident Evil's talked about it. Avenged Sevenfold did a video based on it as a tribute to their drummer who loved the movie.
Funny.
Even fucking Christopher fucking Nolan cited the surrealism of Jacob's Ladder as an influence on Oppenheimer. So excuse me while I go shake my head supernaturally fast to get rid of that image.
There.
Yeah. Yep.
Good taste, I guess.
I guess. Its dialogue and sound design have also been sampled in a ton of songs, ranging from VNV Nation to Clowntown Troop to Nevermore to Biosphere. It's also obviously a recurring joke on how did this get made. And there was a remake released in 2019 to widely terrible reviews. And I think that's all we need to say about that.
Okay, yeah. There's no way I'm watching a remake of this.
Like this
ever.
It's perfect.
Just wipe that from the internet. Actually, take that off Hulu.
Exactly.
That's anywhere.
Come
take
on.
that. I think Paramount Plus. Take it off.
So just a real quick, I'm gonna make my film theory rant corner as quick as I can after all of that because I know we're at like an ungodly length at this point. But so I love this film. I also feel like there's an even better film hidden in what was cut.
Yeah,
and I'm so sad.
What like why? I'm curious, like your thoughts of because you've read a little bit.
Yeah,
because I'm so curious.
I watched it and then like I went and read the screenplay and then watched as many of the deleted scenes as I could find online, and I was like, every single one of these deleted scenes would have made the movie stronger.
Yeah, I wonder why they cut.
Which. Here's my theory.
Yeah.
Here's my film theory rant corner.
Yeah.
I want the version of Jacob's Ladder that could have been, had director Adrian Lyne committed to what he actually set out to do.
Yeah.
Because
he stripped
himself. And he says in an interview on the making of featurette that the reason he made those cuts was because the audience came out of that first screening and he describes them as walking out catatonic, as being just like completely silent, horrified. And I'm like, that's the goal.
I want to walk out catatonic.
Yes, this is a film about a journey into
Take
death.
Me on the gurney out.
That's the whole
rickety
point.
Wheel and all.
Like
I want to be this. Going out.
Isn't the
sorry?
Isn't the goal of this movie to convey a feeling and a psychological state and replicate it in the audience? Right.
I hate, and that was my feeling I got when you said, because for a director to have such a vision where he's fighting the screenwriter and really believe in that, to take out 30 minutes of what sounds, just from the little bit you said, amazing. It's like, who got to him?
A whole plot twist got cut.
Who got to him?
Yeah. the audience. And I'm sorry, but is or is not this a film that sets out to replicate the emotional experience of a man dying after being bayoneted by his friend? Yeah. If you're not walking out catatonic, what's the goal?
I mean, it should be like it's in there, right? Like,
it's in there. It's
but
in
to
there.
Your point, like.
But so many of the images he cut are the most surreal, the most upsetting, the most graphic stuff. And I'm like, you made a horror movie and then cut all the horror.
And all the art, like the war.
Yeah,
too. And
exactly.
Just
and so to me, so he then cuts it until he gets to a version where audiences are walking out debating about what happened at the end. And I'm like, that's not the point of this movie.
I was going to say we shouldn't have to debate. The answer's there.
Exactly.
That's not like Take Shelter where there is actual debate.
Right.
And the director-writer wanted that debate. Even though he had a very clear vision of he wanted. There was... I don't know what debate there would be to have.
No, I think everybody was very clear about
this. That's why the drug thing at the end, I think at the very least would have served more in the beginning. Or not at all. But I think in the beginning.
In the beginning or integrated into the whole. Which is part of why
at the end.
Which is again part of why I'm like, why did you cut out the whole antidote narrative? That's such an important part of this. Like, it's one more layer of him being horrified by hope. And that's the whole thing that the screenplay was about. And so to me, wouldn't having your audience come out too quiet to talk indicate that you've done your job more than having the audience come out debating what's real and what's not?
Yeah, he wasn't serving the story, it was serving the audience.
That seems to me like you're putting plot over emotion, which is not the kind of film this is. And I think it actually ends up excising some plot clarity that keeping in those scenes, like for example, the antidote scene could have provided by giving you more of a sense of like, oh, those beats got wrapped up. That's not what I'm supposed to be wondering about. I'm supposed to be sitting with this feeling.
Yeah.
I also, this is just a very me thing to complain about, but at the very end, as he's walking up the stairs, the lighting doesn't work.
I know.
The lighting's all wrong.
It's the ending, again, in the same way of like, I don't think in the same way as Take Shelter, because I do think it was still done really well.
Yeah.
I just love extra ambiguity.
Exactly.
But in this too, it just felt, it almost felt like a Hallmark Christmas movie made in the 80s.
Yes.
There was like this orange quality
this
to it. It didn't fit.
Like if you've been on a film set, you can so tell that that's just like a giant like 2K light or something shining in through the window.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when I had read the description from Adrian Lyne of like, it should feel like you're coming up the stairs back home after a long day. Yeah. I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. I'm going to love this shot. But what I'd been picturing was it's night. There's like maybe a fiery glow at the top from like candles or something. Yeah. It's quiet. It's dark. You want to go to bed.
Or dare I say, I know that there's the whole bike scene and everything like that. I'm like, even if he came like up the stairs and like he just even opened the door and the door shut behind him.
Yes, and we don't see what's behind it.
You know what I mean?
That would have been
home. Oh, I got chills.
Yes, he's just going home. Yeah. And that's the thing is the light so clearly is like movie heaven lighting. Yeah. And I'm like,
well, that was I think maybe like I wonder if the screenwriter
I think that was maybe a nod to the screenwriter. And I'm like, that's an area where I wanted you to veer away from him. Like,
imagine just the bikes like parked out front. He takes a beat and
just walks in,
and then just.
Even keeping the interaction with the kid, which I think there's something really touching in that, but just having them, like I wanted them to disappear into the darkness of going to bed.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Like peace, true peace.
Yeah.
Me and you.
Which like I
know Hollywood.
Hello,
Adrian
Lyne. No. You did it wrong.
No. I'm glad you had the kind of same like I did feel like there was a cheese factor to it where it was such a but it makes sense that he tailored it to
there.
Audience.
Yeah. And it's so like this is why test screenings are bullshit because like the filmmaker can end up listening to it too much and going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. I think there is stuff there, but again, like there is too much.
Yeah.
I mean to cut out 30 minutes is
insane, you've lost too much. You cut into the bone. Yeah. So I love this film. I think there's a version of this that could have been my favorite movie had those scenes been left in. Yeah. So like all of that's to say, he did an incredible job to get to a point where I could be that angry that it wasn't just that tiny bit tipped over. Like that's the sign of a really well-made film for me to be walking out thinking of like ways that it could have been done better.
Or just wanting his original vision.
More of it.
And I think that's the great thing too is like there's so much. I loved this movie. Yeah, I was.
Go watch the deleted scenes. They're amazing.
I was wildly surprised to my reaction to this.
There's like this shot after the antidote is administered where like Jacob like lies back in bed and like the ceiling kind of like opens up like a mouth and there's like teeth and flesh coming out of it. It's incredible.
And it's like fully like it's just a deleted scene.
It's a deleted scene. Yeah. It's like fully filmed. They have the raw audio. So it's like and I think you hear the director commentary over it. But it's part of, you hear Adrian Lyne talking about how significant those scenes are, and then he just cuts them, and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he lost himself there.
Yeah.
But, man, so good.
So that's Jacob's Ladder. I could talk about it for like 5 more hours.
Yeah, truly, this was like, I wasn't expecting this to hit so much, so thank you for that. This really was like,
I hope it's clear that I quibble because I love. Like, that it's, those are, there's just so much to sink your teeth into with this.
These were so in conversation too, in very different ways.
Yes,
but, I love.
I feel like I need to go home and watch it.
I think I might have to. Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to revisit Jacob's Ladder this weekend. So. Okay, here it goes.
Tell us. Come in.
Briefly.
Yes. Yes.
So, back to that. This is all in his head.
Yeah.
Jezebel, you know, we see the scene earlier in the film, or like kind of like it's a flashback scene because this is all inside out and backwards.
Yeah.
And he interacts with her at work. So like we get a little bit of insight into what the picture he has made of her. And so, you know, everything that we are seeing with her in the hallucination is his subconscious.
His idea of Jezebel, which also, even the fact that she's named Jezebel, so fascinating.
Like, is that even her name?
I don't think it's even her. I think like maybe her name's Jazzy, and he was like, no, she's Jezebel.
Yeah, and like and his, you know, ex-wife is like her from work or something, like they talk about her real quick, and like and so I don't know, and I feel like there is something kind of weird and like racial about that,
especially because we have so many of the angelic characters telling him you've got to go back to your wife. Yeah, and his wife is just like this completely nothing blonde lady. Where like we find out nothing about her personality, just she's good apparently. Yeah, there's really, especially because at the time Adrian Lyne was making this, he's giving interviews about how he wants his next project to be about race in America. Yeah, which also I think is a very interesting thing to have in mind because again, British director, he's not from America, but he's thinking a lot about American race relations as he's making this film.
And it's just like also all the people of color in the film, like especially in the hallucination, like adore him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The way, especially the function of the black women in this film, like the chorus of Greek chorus style of black women in this film, who's so clearly like,
hey, Mr.
That's
Postman.
A hallucination. Yeah. That's like, that is not the real world.
No.
And it really does feel to me like a lot of this movie is coming from the mind of this white Vietnam vet who is deeply terrified of the racialized other living in New York City, and is kind of having this almost like Lovecraftian, like, oh, there are all these monsters around me in Brooklyn and the monsters are all people of color type of thing. That's not me saying Jacob's Ladder is a racist movie. That's just me saying there is an element to what is being dealt with here in his subconscious, which is where this movie lives. That's really fascinating.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. Hi, welcome back.
Hello. Yeah, so good. I think we could have I'm glad I had short notes so that I knew there was going to be so much to talk about this. So
definitely was my longest segment yet. Yeah, not surprising.
Wrapping things up, we're doing our next live show, which will be our 3rd live show on Devil's Night at the Jean Cocteau Cinema. Yeah. We are having pop-ups. We have some amazing people from Morgan Cripps that will be popping up there with some goods. And then we're doing our little mini-sode on Halloween.
Lyne, John Carpenter's OG from 1978.
Yeah, so we're doing that and then screening it after. So tickets are on sale at jeangauteuxcinema.com. Please come say hi. It was really fun at the Crow. It was a pretty packed house.
It was, and I hope we get an audience full of Michael Myerses.
I know, right?
I want people to come in costume.
At least a jumpsuit, you know? Or a knife. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not a knife.
At least a knife.
At least a knife. So yeah, tickets for that. That's the main thing. And I think that's really it. I just want to shout out also an amazing listener. Yeah, Creeps and Coffins sent us some amazing goodies that I'm sure you guys heard in our pre-roll, but we've had them sitting here the whole time. It smells so good in this room because of these, and we're so excited to use. So she's on Instagram and TikTok, and she has we have a sugar scrub.
We should read some of the names.
I was going to say also, I just want to mention we have these little wax melts and they're little skulls.
Really
so everyone
cute.
go check her out. She she has like the coolest aesthetic. Even dare I say, if we can zoom in, if you're watching YouTube, I think it's this one.
Oh yeah, that's the
there's
one.
really
Look
disgusting.
at the colors.
It looks like the inside of a body. So just as we're talking body horror stuff,
body butter that looks like the inside of a body.
Yeah, this is whipped soap.
Yes.
Oh my
and
God,
the names
so
are like, let's see, this one's Moon Shifter.
This is Crypt Tales.
Crypt Tales. This one, this was the one I was really excited about. Dead Man's Cologne.
Yeah, everything
which
she
I think
has.
is absinthe. Yeah, blackcurrant absinthe.
And then Moon Shifter. So anyways, Creeps in Coffins.
Coffins.
Yeah, so on Instagram and TikTok. So I think we're very excited
Yeah,
to finally use these.
We hadn't let ourselves open them because we wanted to like talk about them with them like looking nice first.
Yeah,
because now we get to dive in.
We were at Morgan Crypt, so thank you to literally everyone who came to our panel, came to our live show, and came to our booth.
Yeah.
You are all so lovely, and it's very cool to hear some of you met us last year and started listening in between, and then got to be in the know and got to catch up. So anyone who met us this year, thanks so much for joining us on this train, and you have so much to catch up on. So that's so fun.
And thank you for the fan gifts too. We got some really
so
sweet handmade stuff.
Super sweet.
I love my new lament configuration that's sitting on my desk from a listener.
Truly.
Really was very touching.
Very sweet. So, and we have some new merch too that will be at the Halloween pop-up. Right now, we're just keeping it a little contained. So we have like hats, we have flannels, we have a bunch of new cool stuff. So come say hi to us there. That will be our last little shout out. And
for next episode, obviously we're covering Halloween, but it's going to be, we love to do a Halloween special. Especially because it's our anniversary. We'll be officially 2 years old at that episode.
We will be going into our
third year. And so we are doing the Halloween of 1,000 Corpses.
Yes, I'm so happy that it worked out that way. Finally, because they both take place on Halloween. It's how do you put a film next to Halloween?
Right.
You know?
That was the difficulty we were having.
But I feel like these are wildly
Rob
different.
Zombie can hold up. And it's also a callback to last Halloween's episode when we did Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Bring Rob Zombie back.
Don't apologize for Rob Zombie. We love
some good. So again, it's hard to hold up. We had some other options, but I think these two will be good.
Yes.
And
I think those are all our things. Are there more things?
I think so. That feels right.
Great, fantastic, love that. Thank you, Warren, for
thanks for the picks.
Yeah,
for sure.
Such good picks. I'm
incredible.
Delightful.
Truly.
Yeah. And for your insight on them. Getting to hear why you picked them.
Yeah. Thanks, Trav, for hanging out and his little Cardi G. His fall Cardi G. And
that's incredible. Thank you, Theo, for playing us out. And until next time, we'll be right back, or do we do Splice and Splatter? Thanks for listening to Splice and Splatter, the official film podcast. And until then, we'll be right back.